man, that intro tune sounded really spasticated tonight. That was weird. It's like it goes different every time. Maybe it was just my headphones or something. I don't know. Anyway, I need to stop ranting about the StreamYard's intro song. Just do your goddamn job, drinker.
Yes.
Anyway, so hello everyone. We're here and hail to chat and all that good stuff. Thank you for joining us tonight. The Longman and I are here to answer your questions because we had some super chats left over from the other night, which tends to happen
Yeah.
because we waffle quite a bit and people send us lots of stuff and there's not enough time to get through it all. So it makes sense to just catch up later, I guess. So, well, let's see if I can find where we're at because I know there was quite a few. Okay. According to my
So
math,
this is why I can't watch Wall of Fail at God of War. Yes, like, I have other things to do tonight.
yeah. But yeah, like once we're done with this, you could get right back into it and carry on failing. So
I'm gonna try and eat some food so I can get ready for House of the Dragon. Are you gonna watch that as it comes out, or are you gonna usually watch it like the day after, sort of thing?
I don't care that much. Yeah, I'll just wait until tomorrow or something. Just do it later. Yeah.
That's fair.
No, it's not an indictment of the show or anything. I'm still enjoying it, but I'm enjoying it. It's like politely applauding. From the side.
I'm in that.
It's like, oh, good,
I'm
good
not
show,
sure
boy.
I'd watch it the second it came out if I was on my own, but it is fun when you're watching it with a bunch of friends, and then you just go, "Oh, wasn't it cool with the thing and the thing?" And you're like, "Yeah."
See, I was kind of thinking like that. Oh man, am I gonna watch the finale of Rings of Power when it comes out? And again, I just thought, no, I'm not. I'll give that a bit of time before I watch it. It's not that important. But yeah, a couple of people were asking as well. So a couple of folk had said that they were at the Edinburgh Comic Con, like Scotland Comic Con, looking for me. I don't know if you saw my update on my channel, but yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. Mainly because there was a bit of a balls up with the events management company that was booking me. So it's annoying as fuck because I really hate it if I say I'm going to do something and then I'm not able to do it, and it kind of makes me look like an asshole. But this one was genuinely outside of my control. We were working with the company to have me in as a guest, do signings and all that nice stuff. And then basically a day or two before the con, it was like, okay, so where have I to go? What time have I to be there? What section am I in? And then we just didn't get any like response from the company that was booking us. And so it was like, okay, what do we do? Tried emailing them, like my agent tried emailing them, got nothing back. And so it was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Just show up and hope for the best, or like get turned away? So just had to basically knock it on the head, and it's a real shame because I was kind of looking forward to going, but what can you do? I guess these things, when it's a little bit last minute that it's arranged, sometimes shit falls through and goes wrong, and I guess this is one of those times. But it's been a learning experience where it's like I'm not going to put any announcements out unless everything is like written in stone and we have a signed contract that guarantees it, because otherwise I don't want to fuck people around. Like I say,
Yeah.
it really pissed me off that I then had to go back onto my like channel and put an announcement saying, hey, like, if you happen to have got tickets because you were interested in seeing me, guess what, you're not going to see me. And that's really shit for those people. So yeah, I don't really want to have to repeat that, unfortunately. So if you were one of those people, I do apologize. That's no jokes or anything. That's just me being like quite sincere about this for once in my life. So I apologize if you were inconvenienced about that. Yeah, someone's saying should have just invaded it and streamed the event. That would have been good. But yeah, anyway, so allow us to get through some of these super chats. Let's see. As far as we got last time, yeah, it was Dianatos said, "Did you catch how Leapfrog said that his suit was inflammable?" I did indeed, yeah, and yeah, it caught fire. So I think he said it could withstand up to 900 degrees, which I don't know. It seems pretty hot. It seems like the temperature that most fire would burn at. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but I
What
mean,
was it? Jet fuel or whatever was in his boots.
he put jet fuel in it, and then the guy who made the suit was like affronted by it. It's like, oh, can't believe you put jet fuel in it. You're supposed to put something else. Like, what were you meant to put in it? Like lawnmower fuel or something? And I don't know what it runs
And
on.
why didn't he do that? Because it's the weird thing about it is like it's like, of course they're faulty. He used the wrong fuel, and it's like, so why did he? Because it sounds like it's like, oh yeah, because he wanted to go faster with jet fuel. It's like, yeah, but he wants it to work, right? So what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, you put the jet fuel in, and it goes, and it's like, oh, maybe I should use the other fuel, or I should sue him. It's like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like, oh, well, this all seems stupid. I think a lawyer might ask him these questions. You know,
I think yeah, there's
someone
you
maybe
know
representing him, or
there's kind of discovery, isn't there, where you would be like, I
you'd
really need
think.
to ascertain the full facts of what happened here so I can understand if we're actually fucked on this case. But it did make me think as well, like surely any vehicle which is capable of powered flight, even if it's just a suit, to have a guarantee on it of what they're talking about here, it would need to like pass all kinds of FAA tests and regulations and shit
I think they're throwing
to
all
be.
that out with the Accords. Nothing matters anymore. Anyone can do anything.
It's like because the Sokovia Accords have been rendered defunct, all laws are now
Well, you
forfeit,
see,
and you can
all the
just do
countries
anything.
just didn't care anymore about all the collateral damage, all the American world police in the form of superheroes. Nobody cares about that anymore. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
When their quote, they said they were gonna address the Accords finally, and She-Hulk. That was them addressing it, apparently. So that was
yeah,
a
it's
meme.
just not a thing. That's great.
Yep.
Karen McDonald says, as a weird anime tomboy and femboy lover, well, each to their own, modern writers have no grasp of male virtues, hence why their characters never embody them, male or female. I mean, I'm not going to dispute that. Like, when it comes to writing male and female characters, they don't really understand what makes either gender work or tick. That's why you get such shit characters. I think really we should just advocate for everyone to be sort of grey amorphous blobs that have no gender, no identity, nothing. They're just all the same.
It'll be a fun movie.
I would say so. Yeah,
Attack of the Great Blobs.
that no one can get offended by that. Someone will find a way. Cult of Personality says R.I.P. Rakita's YouTube channel. Well, not anymore. What a difference a
Is it
day
back up?
makes. It's back up. Yeah, Nick Rakita's channel has
Sweet.
been restored. So, yeah, good on him. I'm glad it got sorted out.
When he
But
said that it was with his YouTube rep and it was going to be sent up the chain, I almost lost all sense of like worry. I was like, oh, I should be fine. If his YouTube rep is saying I'll sort it out, it's like, yeah, you should be fine. If the YouTube rep had said, sorry, Nick, like it looks like I have to get rid of you or something, because it's just one of those. It's how it works, right? If it's spam report, your channel goes down, which makes me worry about every channel, really.
I think, yeah, because I don't know if it was the quarter in that talked about this. Like, really, all it takes is like 50 or 100 idiots to just mass flag your channel for anything like community guidelines or something like that. And YouTube will essentially panic and just auto, you know, Terminator or whatever. And I think that's what happened to him because he already had a couple of strikes for
Someone
various
said
other things.
he's been banned on Twitch right after getting YouTube back as well. I'm surprised he's
Yeah,
allowed on Twitch. Twitch
I
is
was
harsher as hell with that.
I was gonna say I think Twitch is really like into their enforcement, aren't they? Like you can't get away with much there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad he got his YouTube channel back. I guess that was his main source of income. So yeah, that's good.
Absolutely. It's a joke that can happen even. They need to sort that out.
Yeah.
Any channel that's over like 100K, surely you should have at least one person go, oh, this could be an attack of some kind.
Yeah, I think there needs like because it's obviously higher profile people, and you know he's like almost 500,000, I think. So there should be a bit more of a safeguard there.
Yeah.
Caesar Molina says, "So sad to see Daredevil ruined by the MCU. Thanos was right. Yeah, he should have killed us all." And yeah, man, I'm working on a review of She-Hulk at the moment, and I guess my take on it is like, it's not so much the fact that they totally humiliated Daredevil. It's more like just the fact that he's associated with this show is like a taint on his
It
character.
feels
It's
weird.
like
He doesn't belong in the same universe as her.
no. And it's yeah, Gary was right when he tweeted about this. It was like how it started versus how it's going, and it was just like yeah, him doing.
I
The
saw
walk
people
of shame.
saying like it's called character growth, and I'm like, no, I don't think you know what he's talking about. It's like character growth. All right.
There's a difference between who he is and what you do to him. Matthias Tokarzi says, I can't get over the fact that Garo wrote one of the most iconic Rick and Morty episodes. How do you go from Pickle Rick to this? Yeah,
No
I
idea.
genuinely don't know. Maybe a lot of oversight on Rick and Morty.
The Marvel disease.
Yeah. Legacy says, I'm frustrated at the fact that Loki has a vast amount of magical abilities and creative powers, but the show cared about his bisexuality. I mean, it was a throwaway line, really. Like, that conversation that he had with whatever female Loki was called, I can't even remember at this point. It was over in a few seconds, and it doesn't really mean much, but yeah, you kind of feel like they were all patting themselves on the back when they got that little bit in.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I mean, Loki as a character generally was just absolutely gutted by that show. Wow. I don't think they could have done much else to humiliate him by that point. Echoes of the Ancients gave me an upside down smiley, so thank you, man. Angry Napoleon says, my favourite part was when they said the Sokovia Accords no longer exist in a throwaway line of dialogue.
Yep.
Will that
That's
stick?
how you do writing.
Will that stick, though? Do you think like this is honestly something that's just now part of the lore of the MCU? Or are they just going to be like, nah, that was just a little pocket universe that She-Hulk exists in?
I guess it depends on who's going to take it seriously next. Like, all of this. But is anyone looking to take the MCU seriously anymore? I don't know.
Just, yeah, it's like get what you can out of it and bail, really. Taika's not going to take it seriously, that's for sure.
Nope.
Apollo95 says, cheers, drinker. Did you watch the TV series 24? Yes, I did. Great action drama from the 2000s with 9 seasons. There's a lot to get through, but highly recommended. Yeah, the first several seasons were fantastic. It started to get a little bit samey towards the end. It's like, there's only so many times you can recycle the same terrorist threats. It's like, what's this threat going to be this time? Is it going to be nukes, or is it going to be biological weapons or chemical weapons? Or maybe a cyber attack? But yeah, it was great while it lasted. I thought Kiefer Sutherland was awesome as Jack Bauer, and man, yeah, I miss it. I'd love to see it come back. But yeah, it was a good show. Did you ever watch it?
24?
Yeah.
No, I completely missed it. But Fringy's a fan of one of the seasons or lots of them, whatever. So I'm considering at some point getting and watching it. That's one of those shows I think where I'm like, I'd be interested in some TV that reaches a particular level. It doesn't have to be amazing, but it seems like it reaches a certain level of entertainment that isn't quite around these days,
Yeah, I think you'll definitely get that. And it's weird because I know they would never make something like this now where it's like it actually portrays like anti-terrorist agents and like the military and stuff in a fairly positive light, like trying to stop terrorists and stuff. And like, yeah, I feel like they wouldn't do that now. They wouldn't make shows like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, bit of a relic from a different time, but a good one. Michael Storm says, weird request, but in these harsh times, is it okay if you give a shout out to my local comic book store? Absolutely. It's called Just Us Nerds in Bulgaria. Thanks. So there you go. If you happen to live in Bulgaria, then go to Just Us Nerds. I hope they get some patronage from that because yeah, comic book stores are struggling these days. Gordon Cadell says, alright, my drinker. I just became a patron. Thank you. I also became Andrex's Toilet Paper Man of the Year by creating the Sandpaper Aloe Vera edition. Well, I think that's good because you're going to get the extremes of both experiences, aren't you? It's going to be smooth and rough at the same time. You mad fucking genius, you. Jedi Shredder says they write these shows for themselves, not only in self-inserts and ideology, but with content in terms of intellect. It's dumbed down, but not for the viewing audience. They just don't know better, so their stupidity is easily exposed. I think it is, particularly when we're talking about, She-Hulk not understanding the law, which is a bit of a problem when you're a lawyer. The writers just couldn't be bothered learning about it, so hey, what can you do? It's not like they could get a legal expert in to help them or anything.
Too expensive.
Nick Rakita would probably do it for a reasonable fee, I would imagine. Imagine what he could do to help them. But yeah, it's just bullshit. Like, I think what this show exposed for me was just their insecurities and their hang-ups about life. Because yeah, so much of it is projected onto like the characters and like how they see the world, and yeah, it makes for a pretty interesting insight into what they are as people.
Well, do you remember the lawyer in episode 4, I think? Her dad's like, did you tell the police about the men who like attacked you? And she said, why would I? They're not going to catch them. It's like, what a bizarre opinion about the police and law when you're what?
I just think it's funny how they perceive men as well. Like, that guy who's like, oh, there's a woman over there, I'm going to go talk to it.
Classic sexist.
I know, but it's like I think this is genuinely how they imagine men talk to each other, like when there's not women around, and it's like it's the most ridiculous, reductive, over the top nonsense.
There's something
But like
Fringy reminded me of. Have you ever seen Community?
the occasional episode, usually
There's
when I've been
this
at my mate's house after a night out.
There's this episode where like this app gets released called Meow Meow Beans. It's like the dumbest thing ever, but it gives you social points based on how many people vote for you and stuff. And so
Right.
each of the characters are trying to appeal to all these different groups. And there's this one point where Jeff, the main guy, is trying to appeal to like the jockey womanizer types. And he's like telling them a joke or something that does something. And they're all like cheering him and high fiving him. So he goes, "Yeah, women are objects. Yeah." And then walks off. And it's just like, that guy is a real character in She-Hulk. Like,
Yeah.
so what they believe is true. Like, it's supposed to be a joke, but
Yeah. But it's I think it was Baggage Claim as well that mentioned this the other night, where it's like the underlying humor, if you can even call it that, is like really kind of bitter and resentful in this show. And then the way they portray basically anyone that's not them. And yeah, like it just gives you this, it leaves this weird taste in your mouth with this show where it's like it's not funny, and I feel like I'm watching someone's like mental unraveling, or like all of their like resentments and petty annoyances and stuff like just getting projected onto the screen for me. So it's a weird experience watching it. Luis Cuevas says, take 5 Benadryl to stay awake during She-Hulk. I mean, it's going to take more than that, man. The one good thing about it is it's over in about 20 minutes. Like, it's pretty truncated episodes. And yeah, it still somehow feels like there's not enough plot to like actually sustain it. It's great. Adam Thin says, do y'all think the MCU will have the balls to bring Chris Evans back to play Hydra and Nazi Captain America like the cheap ploy in the comic? I think they probably would, to be honest. Like,
I think they would, yeah.
The destruction of his character. And I think Chris Evans, being the kind of chap that he is, would be 100% up for that. So, yeah.
You probably say it would be nice to play a villain or something.
Legacy says, Marvel should have focused on the characters they popularized or give their underutilized villains the spotlight instead of making new characters. I mean, are they making new characters at this point? Like, they're all pilfered from the comics, I would imagine, in some shape or form.
I guess they are making new ones, and they're not like the comic versions at all.
Yeah, there's that. But yeah, like it's. I think the bit that's pissed us off in the past is like when they're clearly just making a replacement version of an existing character. They're trying to give us a new Black Widow in Yelena, or they're trying to give us a new Captain America in Falcon. Like, fuck off! Like, stop trying to port one person into this role and like replace someone else. It doesn't work that way. Kevin Medina says, thanks for the drunken hug at Orlando Ice Bar. Hey, after you found out we gave you the bottle of Jack at Tampa Bay Comic Con. Thanks, man. You're a tall bastard in person. My wife and I are really short. No, that bottle of Jack was much appreciated, man. It got me through the whole weekend, so thank you for that. Patty P says, hail to the drinker, my fellow alcohol enthusiast. Take these dollary dues and buy Muller something nice. Aw. Do any of the panel think Rings of Power is going to get 5 seasons? Drink them if you got them. It will get to 5 seasons, I would think, because they've said they'll do it, and it would be a total humiliation if they didn't. But
I think, as and Gary said, if it gets cancelled, it'll go up to 3. Otherwise, it'll be 5.
Will they just make them short seasons, though? Like, it's like, oh, this is season 5, and it's like 2 episodes or something.
Maybe. Finish it all off with a movie.
But yeah, I bought Muller's plushie as well, so I'm looking forward to that arriving.
Yay.
So hopefully that'll help out a little bit. Duff McClintock says, I'm related to one of the She-Hulk writers. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Her husband is a total beta, and her mum has a boyfriend that she brings to Christmas with her husband. Fuck's sake.
Oh.
I hope this is true. Oh my god, that explains a lot in that case. WJ Valente says, my new life philosophy is this: give more money to the fandom menace and less money to Disney. Good strategy. By the way, she got paid. Believe it or not, some people do not need to get paid. Just be happy. Yeah, I mean, I think that was a pretty good insight into Jamila. Really,
I'm just gonna
it's like,
grab a water. I'll be right back.
yeah, cool, man. It reminds me of that Father Ted moment where they get this total asshole priest staying with them, and he just like destroys their house, and he's like, "I've had my fun, and that's all that matters." That's very much our attitude there. Thoughts on Fitness said, so good to see Baggage Claim get her on Friday night sites. Well, I mean, absolutely. She was a great guest to have. You know, I've had her on for Happy Hour and now for Open Bar. Totally up to her if she wants to do things like Friday night sites. I mean, I'm sure, you know, could put her in touch with Gary easy enough.
Maybe.
It's, I mean, she was, you know, she's kind of quieter and more soft-spoken, and Friday Night Tights can get a little bit rowdy. You know, there's a lot of big personalities there, so yeah, hopefully something like that would work out. John Smith says, is it me, or do Marvel fans have the lowest standards? Look at Marvel Reddit. They accept just any crap. Also, thoughts on the Ant-Man films? Yeah, I think Marvel fans are quite easily pleased, or at least the consumers of Marvel fans are. You know, they
You got the
seem
aspect
to
of
just...
no matter how bad a thing is, yeah, but it's building up to this other thing. Like that's an aspect that always comes up.
Yeah. That used to be a thing, but it's not really anymore, is it? Nothing feels like it's built
Who
up
knows
to
where we're
anything.
going now?
It's just, we're meandering. Who knows where we'll go? But yeah, thoughts on the Ant-Man films. They are some of the most forgettable films that Marvel has ever put out. They're not
Yep.
they're not offensive, but they're not like interesting either. It's just like you watch them and then leave the theater and you've forgotten about them like 20 minutes later. So there's that. And yeah, it's great that they made him a side character in his own film for the second one.
And I was going to say, we talk more about them. We don't remember them. That's the best we can do, guys.
Yeah. Dallas Allen says, cheers, keep up the good work. Fuck the message. Thank you. Minor Zircron says, free Rakita. Yes, and it worked. War Van Eagle TV. Why didn't Olaf kill the snow troll for Galadriel in episode 1? When you freeze Arendelle, don't stroll over to Middle-earth and be a repeat offender. Well, we'll never know the answer to that because Galadriel kills everything. The Bits and Pieces man says, as a visual novel adaptation, how do you all feel The Crow did? For example, washing all colour out of most scenes to give a comic book vibe. I love Titanic. What?
Oh.
That went in two completely different directions there.
All right.
It's like, yeah, okay, so to answer the first one, yeah, man, the Crow, a very interesting film. I like to hear you munch on your food there, Muller.
Is it actually coming through? Damn.
Yeah, I really liked.
What's going on with my microphone? Sometimes you can pick up everything, sometimes you don't pick up anything. I hate this world. I'm sorry about that. I'll just keep muting.
Okay, no, that's fine. Man's got to eat. What can I say? But yeah, so for The Crow, yeah, for a movie like this, it felt like it was way ahead of its time. You know, to do a comic book adaptation that wasn't some, you know, bright, like cartoonish Superman type thing. It was dark and brooding and introspective like The Crow. Very much ahead of the curve there. So really interesting film. I remember watching it as a kid and it was absolutely not what I was expecting, but I would really want to rewatch it, you know, now as an adult with a bit of a more mature eye. But yeah, I like the visual style. You know, I like what they did with it. It's a bit different and interesting. So I think it works well. And yeah, I like Titanic too. As a love story, it's shit, but as a disaster movie, fucking hell, it's amazing. Love it.
Yeah, it's standard James Cameron action movie stuff that's all makes it very engaging. And when you look at the production of it, it's impressive. Yeah, Titanic.
They put the work in. Gordon Cadell says, in WandaVision, would it be better if it was a mind prison that Charles set up to contain Wanda for her own protection? She then breaks out and is angry. I think that would work actually pretty well. It's better than the reality of it.
I'm okay with trying literally anything else other than what they did. Let's go with anything else.
Aitken says, regards media saturating your thoughts. There's a Bible scripture, bad associates spoil useful habits. The Bible still carries some good principles. I suppose it does, yeah. I mean, if you just want to look at it in terms of moral lessons, there's probably a lot to learn there. Chris says, it's a wonderful life. There we go, that classic quote. It is indeed. Seven Fort says, in WandaVision, would it be better if it was a mind prison that Charles set up to contain Wanda? Ah, I see what you did there. Wonga for her own protection. She then breaks out and is angry. Yeah, good one, man. Black Mage says, happy birthday, Longman. You woke college education long.
That's from Karen, where a girlfriend and boyfriend who are very woke, according to the movie, describe each other that way as a compliment. You are a woke, college-educated black man. Like she says that to her boyfriend, and it's like,
Jeez.
oh my god.
Baron Bolo says, mainly for the drinker, but have you seen the original Godzilla? It's a very dark, serious horror movie. Maybe you could do a review for Halloween. Also, Doki Doki Literature Club is a great horror game. Yeah, so I have seen the original, like, was it Tozo? Godzilla?
Toho?
Toho, that's the one. Tozo, what the fuck am I saying? Yeah, it obviously played on, like, the, Japanese society at the time and like their fear of atomic weapons and stuff for obvious reasons. And yeah, I don't know. I don't see it as a horror movie in the traditional sense, but like it's definitely got a more serious undertone to it. But it's really interesting if you watch where the series went. Like it absolutely descended into farce for a long time, and I'm sure they've made about 30 Godzilla movies over the years. Like it's crazy the number of sequels it got. Yeah, the original is just a classic. Not much else I can say. Special effects wise, it's better than She-Hulk, but it's not amazing by today's standards. Boxanadu says, "What do you guys think it will take to make Hollywood stop insulting the fans? And do you guys think the racist trolls in quotation marks were paid by Hollywood?" Good questions. What will it take?
I'm sure
to make
there
them
are some racists out there, but as for whether or not they create, like, what do they call them? Accounts that are
sock
like
puppet,
designed to be sock accounts. Yeah,
sock puppet accounts.
there's another word I'm thinking about. 1 second. I want to make sure I'm not saying something completely different.
It's false flagging, isn't it? Really, false flag accounts.
Like I was about to say like a scapegoat, but no, it's more so like a person that's created to become the thing that they can use as an example of a horrible person. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if there's a name for that, but yeah, that probably exists. The fact that such a huge amount of accounts on Twitter are already fake is kind of makes you think like they must have tried that as well. I've always hated it, especially when they do the thing of like if they snapshot a screenshot of anybody in any communities, really, not just ours, but someone saying something really harsh in amongst many voices. Like you could do that with everything. It's not really proof of anything, is it? It seems like a really low level tactic to try and make a situation seem a particular way, which you can do with any account anywhere, whenever you want. I think that's why Gary was mentioning the other day. He was checking these accounts and like they'd not said anything about She-Hulk before. This is like the first thing.
Yeah. That's weird. Like it's like just all of it managed by like one person with about 50 phones in front of them, just like typing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird stuff, man. Alex Edge says, "Wow, you got baggage claim on. Open bar is like the pre-2019 movie critic version of the Avengers." I mean, we get a good mix of people in, and I think that's what we keep trying to do, isn't it? It's just like, it's tempting obviously to have the same people in every time because you get you've got a good vibe with them and you've got good banter, but always trying to bring in new people and keep it like fresh and interesting, get different perspectives, I suppose. So
Yeah.
we do our best. Yeah, hold on, there's a good question there, right? Yeah, what's worse right now, Star Wars or Marvel? I think you should answer that because that's probably
Well, it's for both of us, really, isn't it? But I would probably say Marvel's worse. I think
Yeah.
Star Wars has got Andor is better than anything Marvel's putting out right now. Andor's not amazing or anything. It's just that what has Marvel got? She-Hulk, Wakanda Forever. Maybe that'll be good. You know, that's out in a month, isn't it, or so?
I think it's even this month, isn't it? Like just a few weeks.
Feels weird to have Wakanda Forever out in Spooky Month. You know, it would make it would
Yeah.
make more sense to have Multiverse of Madness out on Halloween sort of stuff. But Wakanda Forever is like, okay, yeah.
It feels like a strange time of year to release films. Actually, did Marvel always do this? Like release
I
movies
don't
in the
remember
sort of
anymore.
October period? I thought they were very much like, the summer blockbuster season, and then maybe one around December time, and that was kind of your lot. But I don't know. Not
Yeah,
sure what they're working to there. I'd be lying if I said I was super excited about Wakanda Forever. Like,
that's
yeah,
going to be one of them seeing it for the job sort of thing. I think
pretty much, yeah. XSL says Michael Waldron will return in Avengers: Secret War.
he will. How exciting! And Star
Andimus,
Wars, by the way.
really?
Yeah, he's still apparently on board to be helping either help write or writing a Star Wars movie. That
Wow.
man's he's gonna destroy. He's rampaging through these IPs. He's gonna do some serious damage.
Yeah. Andimus Maximus says when narcissist activists get into creative roles, everything we used to know and love gets turned into skin masks. Yeah, pretty much. That's all they care about.
Yep.
Neil Lindgren says it's amusing how the two white guys who race swapped the Southlanders, the one group who should be dark skinned in Rings of Power, are calling everyone else evil
Oh,
racists.
be right back. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you were gonna, I don't know, man. If you were gonna make any group or any faction within Rings of Power, dark skinned, so that you could have like a diverse cast there, the Southlanders would be the ones. But then you would have to make it consistent. And that would be a pretty smart way of doing it. It's like, well, they live in the south, so it makes sense that they would be like that. They could either be refugees that have moved up from further south, or like, you know, the descendants of people who fought in the war for Morgoth or whatever. There's
I'm
loads
back.
of ways you can do it, but now they're just a complete random hodgepodge of different people, and it makes no sense. I'm just
Well, have you
responding
heard
to the
the memes about like how if they really want to set this continuity wise before the trilogy, the hobbits they're gonna go through something real rough at some
yeah.
point.
A cleansing of the ethnic groups, you might say.
Ugh. They've already set them
That's
up as
it.
cannibals, so why not? I guess.
I mean, the Harfoots are just monsters. Like, I actually want Sauron to beat them and show them the way, because man, they're horrible people.
Yep.
Akinti says, "You get money for that quote. Please type that out somewhere so it can be reposted everywhere." What quote? I'm not sure. Oh, good. Next one was Wayland Bacefus saying, "Good speech, drinker." Oh, that was when I went on a bit of a rant. Yeah,
Ah,
thank you. Jar of Mayo says, "Laurie Strode from Halloween is a better female representation than She-Hulk. Hell, the adult version of She-Hulk is better." Yeah. Laurie's a good character, actually. At least from the first Halloween. I was just rewatching that the other day, and I really liked it.
didn't she die in Halloween, one of the Halloween movies, and then she was back in the reboot?
Oh, Mauler. Timelines mean nothing in the world of Halloween.
They're
I, I
a set of movies I need to do for like EFAP Halloween or something.
I did see the timeline branching thing for like all the different continuities of it, and it's like, yeah, it's like Loki basically. At a certain point, it gets really complicated. But yeah, I think the reboot, not reboot, sorry, the sequel trilogy that they've made in recent years just kind of ignores everything after the first one, and just is right. We're starting a
Yeah,
new
that's what I've heard.
continuity from here.
And the third one's out soon, right? Halloween Returns or Kills or something.
Halloween ends.
Oh,
Yeah,
ends. Right, right, right.
yeah, it's just out in a week or two, so in time for Halloween, ironically enough. But yeah, yeah, I like the first one. I like the simplicity of it. There's no crazy like twists or revelations or whatever. It's just, yeah, just serial killer, and he's back. He's gonna kill some people, and maybe the main character will survive. Maybe she won't. We'll see. Anvex says bootleg of the Rings is a bad reboot stain on Amazon, not Tolkien or the fan base. Yeah, I would say so. War Van Eagle TV says, true to Tolkien, Olaf is Sauron. After helping Galadriel steal Elsa's dress, he fled Arendelle for Middle-earth and dressed up as the Snow Troll. He's easily the best actor in the entire Rings of Power cast. I wouldn't dispute that, really. Charlie Buck says, seriously, would any of you be so positive about House of the Dragon if Rings of Power didn't exist? House of the Dragon feels ripe for criticism on so many levels. Wow, are we
I
not
wouldn't
being
be
objective?
maybe I wouldn't be as positive, but I mean, I get confused about this because the streams are so long with me, Gary, and Shad, because we're going through each scene and we're trying to compliment where we think it's worthwhile, and we end up spending hours and hours. Like, I don't think it's some weird bias. I already said I was biased against that show when I started watching it. And if this was just as simple as another show exists, like, why isn't She-Hulk getting praised in the face of Rings of Power? It's like, well, because that show's shit.
Yeah. Waffle says, do we know the Balrog's pronouns yet? I don't think we do, no, it's not made them clear, so we'll have to wait and see. That scene with the leave that woke it up just fucking made me angry.
You know, because it's like a big old cavern, when it went like, brrr, I was expecting Durin to be like, what? Oh, there's Balrog. Shit.
Because I'd like to point out as well, like, when they hacked through into that chamber, like, all the rocks that were making up that wall would have fallen down there and landed next to it. But
Yep.
it was a leaf that woke it up. Like, yeah, okay,
Well,
sure.
you know,
Yeah.
leaves, man. It doesn't like nature. Balrogs are like, brrr, nature. Brrr.
Yeah, fuck you, trees. That's why I came down here, to get away from you.
I like rocks. I don't like trees.
C. Montig Man says, Hail Drinker, I was wondering if you've heard of FX's The Bear. If not, I highly recommend it. Best TV I've seen in a while. The Bear? No, I've never heard of that, mate.
Not have I.
Anvex says, for the love of God, keep Galadriel away from those poor horses. Ah, the fire horses. I like them. So dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb. Oh, the show. Running with Scissors says, happy Thursday, gang. What, if any, changes do you think will happen to House of the Dragon now Ryan Condal is the solo showrunner? Cheers. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know what his methodology is or what he wants to do, so I'm not sure what he would change. Sorry. Villainology says, waiting for the heel turn of Galadriel to become the wise, powerful sorceress she's supposed to be instead of the sword-wielding Testo warrior she is now. I think she's actually Sauron, and that's why she's such an asshole. That's going to be the twist, you see, Mauler. It was
It'll make
Galadriel
everything
the
make
whole time.
sense.
Yeah, I think that'll be... Might as well, just do it. Doesn't matter, says, slightly off topic, but are you lot into the Backrooms? It's so great, just pure mysterious storytelling. Oh, and Rings of Power is Lord of the Rings for derps. Backrooms, I don't know what that is. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's that spooky video. I think that's where it starts anyway, but it's like a series of big yellow rooms that are kind of dark and distant and very, there's just a spooky ambience to them. When someone walks through and then like a creature might follow you through them sort of thing. I think that's what it is anyway.
Oh, is that a game or something?
Just a video as far as I knew, but it might have evolved into other things by now.
Okay. Lael Hamak says, I'm very much enjoying Rings of Power and thinks it's a very enjoyable series in my humble opinion. Plus 12.6 million US views is very good, and 100 million views worldwide through 6 episodes is, I would say, doing very well. Hail to you all. Wow, that's a lot of very specific information. Almost like it came from a robot. I don't know. Well, I mean, if you're enjoying it, then great. Power to you.
Yeah.
I would dispute its objective quality, but hey, I'll get around to that. Anna Hitch says Pete Jackson almost brought Arwen into battle at Helm's Deep until fan outrage forced them to rewrite. Yeah, I heard about this. Poor Liv Tyler. Yeah, she spent like months sword training for it. Even Liv Tyler said they realized Arwen doesn't need to have a sword in her hand to be strong. Gosh, if only we had that kind of common sense now. That'd be nice. Why are showrunners children now? How did this
They're
happen?
cheaper.
Yeah, they're cheaper to hire. Mr. Blank says, Drinker, it's not a mace, it's a flail. Much love from a fellow Highlander. Oh, that was the weapon that the Witch King was using against Eowyn. A flail. Fair enough. Yeah. It's just a big spiky metal thing that you swing at people. I mean, they all seem much the same to me, but yeah. I shouldn't say that, like, if Shad's around somewhere, he'll be
I'm gonna
like,
say Shad's not here. We're fine.
yeah, he's probably like stirred somewhere in Australia right now. It's like, I heard that the drinker said something stupid. Mitch Bolischik says, Babadook, terrifying, brilliant story. Thoughts?
I think I've seen it. It was a while ago. I think the whole thing is like an allegory for depression or abuse or something.
Yeah, it's like the manifestation of her like emotional turmoil and stuff. But it's quite cool as a monster because yeah, you don't really see it and stuff, and it's it's kind of an interesting premise, I suppose. I remember quite liking it. Mithridate says Mulan was the exact same as Lord of the Rings. Using her intellect, she actually outwits the Hun leader by launching the firework and starting the avalanche. Yes, she did.
Yep.
Doi First Doi says, "Hey yo, can't watch any more of their shite. To be fair, I felt like that at Hawkeye. Have my money, Gary's Bear is better than Rings of Power. That is true." Charlie Buck says, "If a woman ruler is unacceptable to the realm now, why does anyone think it was unjust that Rhaenyra was passed over years ago?"
Rhaenys, I think they mean, is it?
Oh, sorry, yeah, Rhaenys, yeah.
So what was the question? Sorry.
So, if a woman ruler is unacceptable to the realm now, why does anyone think it was unjust that Rhaenys was passed over years ago?
It's not that. Well, as the rules go, you're allowed. And if Jaehaerys had actually put her in that point, it might have worked out. Nobody believes for sure that the world would have fallen apart if Rhaenys was the queen. But as far as I can tell right now, the argument is if you put Rhaenyra on the throne when we have Aegon and Daemon as these other options, that civil war is going to start because people believe that she shouldn't be on the throne.
Yeah, and they've got like a stronger claim or something, eh?
Well, and she's destabilized it completely by having bastard children as well.
Yeah. It's an interesting combination of different like possibilities and successors and stuff. That is one of the things that makes the show quite interesting because it's very realistic to like how actual monarchies and you know lines of succession have gone. Like, I don't know if you've ever studied like the history of like British kings and queens and shit, but like this kind of problem came up quite a bit. Where you know, for a long time you couldn't have a queen that was an actual direct ruler, but then eventually we got Mary. I think she was the first one, and then like that kind of started the trends. But yeah, like if you know you had a king that didn't produce male heirs, then you had a real problem of succession, and like how was it worked out? Who had the stronger claim? And it was like a total like you know free for all almost.
I'm pretty sure British history inspired George quite a bit on a lot of the the aspect. War of the Roses, for example.
Yeah, I would imagine so. There's definitely like, yeah, you can draw parallels with like monarchs that we've had. Robert McDonald says, "Gotta leave. Primitive Tech just dropped a smelting video, but I'll be back in a few. Great show tonight. Thanks, man, and enjoy the smelting video." Anvex says, "Move the goal. We mounted it on a dragon." Fair enough. Whalen Bucephus, Tywin resigned for not getting Cersei Rhaegar betrothal. Barristan got called the Bold for secretly participating in a joust at the age of 10 in front of Aegon V. The Targaryens have a second golden age under Daeron II. Wow. That's a lot of
Wait, so
info.
did Tywin resign because he wouldn't marry the Mad King wouldn't marry his son to Cersei? That might be it,
think
yeah. 'Cause
so, yeah. Yeah, he wouldn't sanction it, I think. I don't know the lore behind that one, so I'm not sure.
I used to know it. I forgot it once Game of Thrones pissed me off.
Yeah.
But hey.
Fucker Wolf 190 says, "With too many dragon riders and only one king, civil war was inevitable. That's why Valyria had no king, but a consortium of the most powerful houses." Oh, that's interesting, actually. Yeah, I feel like each dragon is basically like a movable aircraft carrier or something. Like it's got the ability to wipe out entire castles and fortifications and shit. So it's a hell of a lot of power to put in the hands of one person. Wayland Bucephus says Jon is a direct descendant of Daemon and Rhaenyra. I suppose he is, yeah.
Yeah.
Derek says a series about Robert's rebellion with Rhaegar and Lyanna and Arthur Dane, etc., would be just make me sad. The show screwed up Jon's heritage. Jam of Bob says Tyrion's last true scene was unchaining the dragons. Oh, Tyrion got done dirty.
Yeah.
He became a bit of a tard towards the end.
Yep.
I do feel a bit sorry for the actors. They must have realized, like, when they were reading the scripts, like, oh wow, this has gotten really shit. You know?
Let's just get it done with.
Yeah. Luke Holman says, Drinker, free Maris. I recently saved money on a plane ticket. My girl Galadriel inspired me to swim to Hawaii. Yeah, I should. Hail Nerdrotic, loved you. Your AA share. I've got 52 days sober. Nice one, man. Congratulations. Peace from San Francisco. The sea is always right.
Yes.
Indeed it is. Kevin O'Neill says Tolkien's world in the right hands would be miles ahead of any competition in the fantasy film genre. In the wrong hands, well, behold. Indeed.
Yeah, at least we got to find out what it was like in the wrong hands, you know? That was something we were all curious to see.
Well, we've seen both ends of the spectrum, really, haven't we? We've seen the right hands and the wrong hands.
Yeah.
The real Holtzonator says, after seeing Rings of Power, I'm struck by Kingpin's wisdom of simply staring at an all-white painting. Yeah. I do like that, actually. How does this painting make you feel? Lonely. Rob Robinson says, that's just subbed the baggage claim. Hail Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic Friday Night Tights, and The Longman. There we go, covered everything. Thanks, man. Hippofish says, off topic, but instead of doing a Captain Marvel film in between Infinity War and Endgame, it should have been a Hulk movie. Banner should have been the face after Endgame until Marvel gets a new direction. I don't know, man. Like, they've never done another Hulk movie, and they've said, I think, they're never going to do one. Is he just too difficult a character to build a movie around, or what?
Something to do with rights with him, right? They have to be with Universal if they want to do a movie with him.
Oh, is that the problem as well?
There's that, but as far as I know, the rights are reverting in the next few years or something, so we could expect a lot more Hulk stuff, which it sounds like they might be, winding up to Planet Hulk, World War Hulk, or something like that.
I mean, Ruffalo's not getting any younger. I kind of figured he might be done with it soon, but
Maybe.
you never know, I suppose. He could just be like Professor Hulk and just do the voiceover, sit on his couch, do it that way. Casey Boyd says, do you guys ever consider reading manga or watching anime? Demon Slayer outsold the entire Western comic industry in its run. That's one series for people who love good writing. I was just curious. I don't think you're a manga guy, are you?
Not really, no.
Yeah, I'm not really into it yet myself, but I'm keeping an open mind. Robert McDonald says, looking forward to the lesbian rom-com Hose. Yeah, well, we've had Bros already, so yeah. KE says, Drinker, do you have a 1917 review? I would like to see that. Yeah, I do. I've reviewed that, and he gave it a Drinker Recommends, because it's a really, really good film. So yeah, go watch it. Robert McDonald, Jeremy Brett was my favourite. He almost stopped because he had to take lithium and he got puffy, and he felt that ruined the Sherlock railbone thin image. He was a huge Holmes fan and didn't want to damage the image. Wow, that's pretty fucking admirable, like. Ithamox says, with all the praise that you heaped on Triple R, did you ever check out the Vietnamese Technicolor Western Tears of the Black Tiger from 2000? It's crazy as shit, stylized guns and gore fest. If not, you must. Well, sign me up, because that sounds awesome. Matthew Freehofer says, Drinker, do you still offer writing reviews for your patrons? So, yeah, I mean, I can help out a little bit with screenplays and stuff. I'm not going to have the time to review an entire novel or anything like that. It's just too much content to get through. But, like, samples of, like, screenwriting and stuff I can take a look at for sure. Luke Hommins says, currently swimming to Hawaii. Good luck to you, man. If Galadriel can do it, you can. Ricardo Filho says, there's an anime called Moriarty, the Patriot. Amazing spin on the Sherlock story. It focuses on Professor Moriarty, as you might have imagined, and he's kind of an anti-hero. Yeah, I can see that. Fair dues. Guardian Fortress says, there's shows like Kitchen Nightmares or Bar Rescue. Let's make a series called Show Repair. Your show sucks. It's got flaws all over it. Also, it's fail break, and the theatre I work at is empty. Sorry, fall break. Yeah, man. It's I feel like we could help out with things like this, but man, I think my advice to Rings of Power would be just don't make it.
Stop.
Yeah. Me3 Dates says, I didn't mind Daredevil, but I swear he looked more CGI because of She-Hulk, like she was a green hole sucking in and destroying all texture and detail. That's pretty good, actually. Sean Rothwell says, it's quite late, but have you guys seen Severance? No. I haven't.
I think I did actually. It's the weird British movie. All I remember is the guy gets his foot cut off.
Oh,
Unless
right,
you're
yeah.
talking about if you're talking about this TV show, then no.
Yeah, no, I've seen the movie, yeah. Because it's got the guy who was like the villain from Die Another Day in it. I remember he got his head chopped off. Yeah, like that was quite fun. Because there's a lot of good gore in that one. Jam of the Bob says, Gary, please do Team Venture's Sword of Michael accent. Oh, he's not here. I'm sorry. Robert McDonald, Matt Murdock, Thriceborn. So much for Ephriel Stern. Mongoloid Face says, will you join Gary and Mahler's weekly House of the Dragon streams now that you're a fan? I mean, I could try. Is it
Well,
real BBC you do it on? No.
No, well, it's an hour after the show comes out.
When does it come out?
Well, the newest episode is out in 3 hours.
Oh.
So the stream starts in 4 hours from now.
Oh, okay.
Which is perfect timing for you, right?
I love staying up until 4 a.m. because yeah, it's great. Saud Abu Sultan says, "Hello, drinker. Do you think House of the Dragon will be, will end better than Game of Thrones?" Yes, because unless the entire thing is just revolves around the cast all shitting themselves, like yeah, it'll probably be better than Game of Thrones ended.
It'd be really difficult to end worse than Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Jedi Brooks says, hello there. After seeing how well newcomers like Disparu and Little Platoon have been treated, I want to try to plug my channel. Boba Fett, Jake Snow, Midsummer, Boys Season 2, just to name a few. Okay. So, what's your channel called? Because you've told me the things you've reviewed. Is it just called Jedi Brooks? In that
Assume
case,
the account. Or...
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Take a look. Joe Pineapple says, what's happening next October in the UK? Will Drinker, Az, Disparu and Mahler be there? What is happening next October in the UK?
I don't know. What is happening? Is it a
Something
meetup or?
Yeah, I don't know. We should do a British meetup sometime. That would be nice. Quinn Thompson says, congrats on making it around the sun again, Mahler. Also, Nerdrotic, does the Doom mask fit? Yeah. Neil Lindgren says, happy birthday to the Longman.
Thank you very much.
I think this must have been around the point where you revealed that it was your birthday because everyone's wishing you happy birthday.
Yeah.
El Gavian says, happy birthday, Mahler. Drinker and Gary, what do you think
Thank
of The
you.
Expanse ending? And has Mahler seen The Expanse?
I haven't watched anything other than like season 1. I think it wasn't that interested myself, but I hear it's gotten really bad.
I haven't seen the ending, so I think I'm like half a season behind. I don't think the final season kind of lived up to expectations, which is a shame. But I was liking the early seasons. It was good stuff. Robert McDonald. I don't think anyone could ever say that little 5'2" Elizabeth Taylor was a weak woman in her films. She was a badass, but that's when writers knew what a woman was. Yeah, they did indeed. It was about force of personality, I guess, rather than the size of your muscles. Antriv Singh says, happy hour stream on old Guy Ritchie movies like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, and maybe even the new ones. The guy's had some bums, but he's still got it. He does indeed, yeah, and he's made some great movies. I'd love to do one on Lock, Stock, actually.
And Snatch, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, Snatch is just a slicker, like, bigger budget version of Lock, Stock, I guess. But, yeah, both really good movies. I like them.
What about Rock and Roller?
Didn't like that quite so much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was. I didn't feel the characters came through quite that well. Like, with Lock, Stock, and Snatch, like, you can just, if I say, like, One Punch Mickey or Bricktop or whatever, like, you just know instantly who I'm talking about. But, like, with Rock and Roll, I just feel like there's nobody really that grabs me in the same way.
I think Bricktop was awesome. I'm surprised he wasn't, like, more beloved sort of as a actor to play villains, you know.
Oh, his insults were amazing. Like, you are on thin fucking ice, my pedigree chums, and I shall be under it when it breaks. Happy birthday, Polly says happy birthday, Mauler. There you go.
Thank you.
Tailor made for that statement. Shane Stevens says, have you seen the HBO Band of Brothers? Yes, I have. It's about World War II American paratroopers. If so, what do you think? I loved it. It's
Very good.
One of the best like war shows, movies ever made. Love it. Robert McDonald says, now that Elliot has the balls for it, Chris should be his best ass. Okay. Zach Toll says, Drinker, don't watch the Mario trailer. It's Phase 4 MCU bad. Yeah, I've heard it's not good. Also, Phil Tippett's Mad God. I think you would like it. Maybe. Maybe indeed. Jackson Lindgren says, for everyone, defenders of the show say Galadriel is on a character arc, from flawed to redeemed or whatever. In your own words, tell me how Rings of Power and Galadriel misses or jumps off the boat when it comes to a proper arc. Yeah, I mean, I don't see an arc to her, really. The show doesn't seem to be about knocking her down and teaching her lessons. It's just like, yeah, she just kind of gets what she wants. I don't think it would criticize her like that. You know what I mean?
I think the only way that, even if she were wrong about anything, it wouldn't be her fault.
Yeah.
Like, if she was something for a Dildan, it wouldn't be because she should have known it or that she was. It's just like, oh well, you know, this is the reality of the world. Unfortunate. Now I understand that.
Yeah. Glenwood Reed says, bar menu for tonight: Midnight Express, Leaving Las Vegas, Platoon, Bachelor Party, and Resident Evil game reviews. All pretty solid choices there, I would say. Dave T. Geek says, Pratt has mild New York Italian accent a la 90s cartoon. Oh, okay. Adam Michaels says, happy birthday. How does one get you to check out an independently made project? We put out a 30-minute, no agenda, badass, thought-out story and character, feel good, proof of concept pilot called Casey Jones Live Wire. So that must be a Turtles thing. So how would they get you to check that out?
Me? I thought they were asking you. Are they asking me?
Well, they said happy birthday, so...
Oh, well,
assume
for
that is
me,
for you.
I've been asked since I started this to like review with people stuff. I just decided to do a blanket no, basically. I don't know how to do it fairly or even remotely quickly. I certainly wouldn't want to commit to it and then not be able to do it, and then I wouldn't know how to choose between who I should and shouldn't. So, too much guilt there. So I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna try and stick to obviously reviewing the stuff I'm reviewing anyway. I've I don't even like to review Friends stuff. I feel awkward about it.
No, that's fair play. The chat says, if I was forced to have any, my pronouns would be she and it. Read that fast. I see what you're doing there.
Wait
Also,
a minute.
Yeah, I see what you're doing. Also, hi Rags, please tell Mauler happy birthday. There you go.
Thank you very
happy
much.
Birthday. Skip Ski says, anyone other than me have a playlist of favorite drinker videos that they listen to every night when they go to bed? Me! I listen to my own stuff.
Yay!
No, I'm kidding, I don't. Liquor Snurf says, there's a Tempest in me. Yeah, in all of us indeed. Primark Vulcan says, Gary, there is indeed a Dave and Buster's in San Antonio, located at 410 and Fredericksburg. There we go. But information for all of us. Random Topic says, Hi Drinker, Brie was probably replaced by a clone or an android. You know, one of the two. Ethamix says, hey Drinker, you ever considered having Chris Gore from Phil Courage on the stream sometime? Think you guys would get along? What? It's always funny
maybe.
when people recommend things that we've done. Yeah,
We've been around for a while now.
Yeah, we've had Chris on a bunch of times, and he's been great. Kolak Commando says, two wongs don't make a... Yeah, see what you did? Irene T says, is the sacrifice on sale on UK Amazon? As an American looking at Amazon, it says the book is $10.99. Oh, well, it's supposed to be 99 pence, or like just over $1 for you guys. So I don't know why it's saying that. Yeah, maybe it's just on sale here in the UK, and even if I go into Amazon.com, it still projects that price over because I'm logging in from the UK, which is annoying. But yeah, it's definitely cheap for us here. And Captain Pollywog says, Fook Rings of Power. Can't argue with that.
Yeah, fair.
That was the last of the super chats from the other night. So
Well.
that was all good. But I know we've had a few come in while we've been doing this. Nebraska Because says, man has set Mower drink recipe. 1 ounce of slow gin, 2 ounces of normal gin, serve in a cocktail glass. Okay. So
Right.
slow gin and normal gin. There you go. Wayland Pacific says, you should do a happy hour on Once Upon a Time in the West. It should stir some interesting talking points, like having Henry Fonda playing the villain. Yeah, I like that movie. And also Wayland Pacific says, any tips for naming characters? Not really, no. Just, you can usually, like, for whatever country your story's set in, you could pull up a list of, like, most popular names or most common names and just, like, work your way through and pick one that sticks out for you, I suppose. That's how I do it.
Oftentimes, there is no name that is like in and of itself will not work. It's about like where it is and what it's doing, right? Like what purpose you want to serve. Or you really could just have a name, any name really, as long as it doesn't conflict too hard with like if you're in Asgard and there's all these crazy names that you just got Bob. You know? But then again, that could serve a pretty good purpose for funnies. You know, it's all kinds of ideas with something like that. But yeah.
I always like the idea of like, say you got some like badass like action hero type, and he's called like Neville Chesterfield or something like.
Can work.
Just something totally inappropriate.
It reminds me of I think it was Chris Stuckman's short film. He had a character who's like more correct. She's a good screenwriter in the story, and she makes fun of another screenwriter for choosing to name his serial killer Terry, I think it was. And she's like, you can't have an intimidating killer with a name Terry. And I was like, the hell? Like, most intimidating killers have kind of silly names, don't they? As in, when you find out, like, the big, scary killer with the knife who chases you, he's called Michael. It's like, oh. Like, who else? Like, Freddy? Like, that's not that... It's not like Voldemort, where the name itself is like, ooh, spooky.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a funny one. Like, I guess... yeah, for me, it's just it should feel appropriate to whatever character I'm trying to do. I don't quite go down the road of just randomly picking names or anything like that, because I want to get something that just feels right for me. The Wicker Man says, thoughts on the Midnight Club? Like, this is for both of us.
Have you seen it?
No.
I actually finished it yesterday. It's I don't like it as much as Midnight Mass, Blind Manor, or Hill House. It's much more, it's sold as. It's much more for teens. It feels like much of a teen show, dealing a lot with like dating and I don't know, anxieties that relate to that. The angle I was interested in, the angle I was interested in was that it was like a bunch of people who were terminal telling each other stories to scare each other before they come towards it. And you know, a lot in the show is to do with like coming to terms with death and stuff. There's a lot of adult stuff in it, and there's some characters I really do like, but I don't know, it felt like off-brand Flanagan, to say the least. I didn't feel quite right, and a little bit bloated, and I was very unsatisfied with the resolution of some of the plot lines. And they do a bit of a like, you thought this thing throughout the whole season as a maybe, definitely not, and then right at the end they're like, or maybe. It's just like, why did you do that? And it's like, come back for season 2. And it's like, fuck you.
Like, is Flanagan just I don't know, overplaying his own premise?
Because the problem is that I'm pretty sure he's working on 2 big shows at once when he made this one. So because he's working on House of Usher as well. House of Usher is the one I really want to see. It's got Mark Hamill in it. Okay. This one felt more like it's I don't know, meant for a target audience, a little bit different than the others.
Right.
Not as scary, and certainly more, you know.
I feel like they've been slightly hit and miss in that, like, I loved The Haunting of Hill House. I think you preferred Bly Manor, and then maybe there was a kind of I don't know. Midnight Mass was like flawed but still okay. And then you've got this, which didn't seem to like so much. So I don't know. It's
we'll see. I mean, if you would check it out, you can let me know what you thought, because I'm not sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I say, I've generally enjoyed his stuff. And I really enjoyed Midnight Mass, so yeah, I've still got a bit of faith in him, so I'll be interested to see
Yeah.
what he's produced, if nothing else. Next one is Wayland Bucephus. In my Western, I have a corrupt sheriff who is a German immigrant that fought in the Indian Wars before he became a gun for hire. How does this sound? Sounds perfectly fine to me. Yeah, I mean, like when you're talking about America and the Wild West, you can have immigrants from basically anywhere in Europe or whatever that have come over there to make a new life for themselves. I think there's something quite interesting about that. Like you come over to this new country, started a new life, and you're trying to leave your past behind you. But is there elements of that are going to catch up to you? Quite cool. Waste Gash Gamer says, on a scale of 1 to 10, 7 being the highest, what's your favorite letter and why? Fucking love the letter E. I just can't get enough of it.
It's a pretty good letter. You are right.
Yeah, solid. It's the backbone of the English language. J Dub says, any thoughts on turning Open Bar into a podcast? Yeah, people have asked me about that occasionally. Like, could you put it on Spotify or whatever? I don't know. It's like, is that something you do with EFAP or whatever?
Someone's doing it with EFAP. I haven't done it, but someone is. Yeah, probably. I can't say. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of always assumed people could download it from YouTube or whatever, just listen to it as they do whatever they want to do. Gameboy64 says, do you think Indiana Jones 4 will ever come out? I assume he means 5. I hope it never comes out. I don't want to see it. There's only ever been 3 Indiana Jones movies as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not going to change that opinion. John Kirk says, just started playing Shadow of Mordor. Drinker, if you're looking to cleanse yourself from Rings of Power, it's an epic game with epic characters. I feel like I played the first few hours of that. I never quite finished it, but I quite liked it. It's a hack and slasher, isn't it?
Yes. I don't think because I never played it, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was quite good. Just never quite grabbed me. J-Dub says, suggestion for why modern movies suck. There's nothing at stake. We feared agents in the Matrix because we knew that they could kill the protagonists. Now they're just jokes. Yeah, that's probably a good shout. The lack of stakes is another problem. TD says you should all check out a series called From. Also, Interview with a Vampire. Thoughts?
I hated From.
I've not seen From. Interview with a Vampire, so 90s and so angsty. But yeah, pretty good. Good cast. So, yeah.
From's got a great premise, and I think that's the only reason people think From is good is because of his premise. The execution is horrific.
What is the premise?
There is a town where people end up in sometimes and get stuck forever, and in this town, there are vampires that come out at night to kill you unless you're inside and you have a talisman linked up in your house. They walk incredibly slowly, but if they get to you, they thrash you to pieces.
Right.
And they make some spooks and scares out of it. That's the premise. And me and Rags heard about this, and we were like, "Hell yeah, that sounds cool." And I think we couldn't get past 2 episodes. We gave up. We hated how stupid everybody was. The whole show relies on everyone being absolutely retarded.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a winner. Vault Hunter says, "I'm for sure the 5 seasons of Person of Interest is among my favorite." Okay, good choice. Cracklin says, "What happens when She-Hulk has her period? Is that when the week she's constantly green?" These are questions I just don't want to have answered. Jackson Perez says, "Mower, how pumped are you for the House of the Dragon later?"
Oh hell yeah, man! The preview puts Otto on the Iron Throne. He's like one of my favorite characters. I can't wait to see what decisions he's going to make.
I like him. Yeah, he's pretty fucking cool. Zagros Ozcan says, every significant scene in Rings of Power is 100% copied from Lord of the Rings. I'm going to make a vid about it. Also, House of the Dragon is no Game of Thrones season 1 to 5, but season 8 was so bad that we think it's good now. Yeah,
season 5 of Game of Thrones was terrible. Just saying. Just putting it out there.
That's a controversial
The Dawn
take.
plot line. Come on, that's not a hot take. They ruined the Sand Snakes in season 5.
Oh, I was going to say, is that when they brought the Sand Snakes in?
It is indeed. I was excited for them, Drinker. I'd read about them, or read the book, and I was like, these guys are fucking cool. And I remember when they even It's so weird when it's poorly adapted and you hate the characters. She starts explaining her history, the whole like the Red Viper told her tears are the weapons of a woman or something, and he threw a spear to her and he was like, that's make your choice sort of thing. I remember that history. I was like, oh, it's so good when you read in the book. When they say it after you hate them in the show, you're like, stop it. That's not yours. Like, you're not allowed. Get away.
Don't defile this language with.
Um, as for House of the Dragon, I think it's pretty good. Still not recommending it, but it's pretty good.
It's weird, eh? It's almost like we feel we have to be really cautious about this because we still just like got that lingering hatred for Game of Thrones.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I like it, but I didn't expect to like it, and it's weird. But yeah, generally, I like the complexity of the characters. I think they're genuinely well written. They're played by good actors, and it feels pretty solid for the most part. It's not super ambitious yet, but it's pretty good. Bubba Franks says, not sure how much a drink costs where you live, but may I buy you a drink? You may indeed, but thank you for the donation, my friend. Mark Sulnak says, I wonder if the Tolkien estate played a clever 4D chess move on Amazon in order to prove a point that much of Tolkien's work cannot be translated properly to a TV show. I don't think they're that fucking smart. I think they just wanted the money. Ask the Viking says, chance to ask Drinker and Co to watch Primal, Spawn, the animated series, and Edge Runners. Also, have you ever watched Klaus? Love your videos and watch them during lunch breaks. Keep it up. I've seen Spawn. I think I've seen Primal. I haven't seen Spawn the animated series, and I haven't seen Edge Runners yet. I don't know where you're at with all this stuff.
Well. No, same as you.
Red Muskrat says, I'm going to keep suggesting High Tension until you review it. Well, I'll try and get round to it. Winnie the Churchill says, Hail Drinker, I'll be visiting Scotland in December. Can you recommend any great whiskey distilleries and tours? Love what you do. Yeah, so go on the Highland Park Distillery tour. That is up on Orkney. The distillery is awesome. It's an amazing scenery. And, well, the tour that I did, the guides actually really knew their stuff. So it was a good tour. And you get lots of free booze at the end of it. Zagras Ozkin says, red herrings and straw men, indeed. Lewis Horseman says, Gattaca and AI reviews, please. So many to review. Way or Waxy says, what's up, Drinker? Have you seen Werewolf by Night? No,
Hearing a lot about this recently. This is a Marvel project, isn't it?
Is it?
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
I don't chat might have to help me out with this, but I'm hearing more and more recommendations for Werewolf by Night, and I'm remembering it because I thought it was this odd name, not like a bad name. I just thought it was kind of strange, Werewolf by Night. But yeah, from what I'm hearing, it's good, and it's Marvel. That's what I've heard.
Marvel? Good? What the fuck?
Exactly, it's all confusing.
Corey Diaz says, just got your comment comparing today's celebrities to the Film Actors Guild in Team America. Spot on. Cheers, man. Fernando Estevez says, you were very wrong about Daredevil's Walk of Shame. For you see, the script reflects the life of the writers, and that scene is 100% what Jessica Gao sees every guys do the morning after hooking up with her. Ooh, harsh. Maybe true, though. Hypnohype says, evening gents, would love to see a video on my favourite show, Band of Brothers. Thanks for the good moments. I think I should probably do a video on that, actually. It'd be a good one to review. Ash Ketchup says, greetings friends, what do you think of the Batman after it's been out for some time, and are you guys excited for the sequels? I was personally disappointed and haven't gone back to watch it since it was in theatres.
Yeah, I mean, as time's gone on, I've just been more and more critical and baffled by the Riddler in that film. I have come around, like there was obviously a lot of that conversation about him being Bruce Wayne and stuff, and it really does seem to me that movie is trying to say Bruce Wayne is born almost as a potential personality for him to make use of at the end of the film, and so we should see him quite a bit in the next one. Which I'm more than excited to see the next one, but yeah, it didn't hit me too hard, that movie. Wasn't quite for me, I guess I'd say.
Was that a film that was all about the atmosphere and the cinematography and stuff rather than the actual substance of the story and the characters?
I mean, I remember thinking the opening 10 minutes I was blown away by. I thought it was excellent. But then the rest of the film, I was like,
Yeah. Kind of the same. Like, I didn't love it, but I don't know, it felt like a step up from the Snyder stuff. And yeah, again, I wasn't enthused about seeing Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. Still not loving it, but I think he was better than I expected. I imagine.
Hmm.
Will M says when Chris Farley called El Nino to create Mordor and MacGruber outwitted Adar with a tennis ball, I nearly lost my marbles. We all did. It was
Yeah, we've
it
all
was
been there.
stunning and brave. Zagros Ozcan says the leaf represented life being in reach of the Balrog. Oh, that's poetic, but I still think the show's dumb.
Well, it's
Deeds,
just dumb as fuck. By the way, it was just like Celebrimbor's been experimenting with this thing, and it's like you didn't put it next to a leaf. Didn't just really.
never tried it. It's lucky that Durin flung it across the table and it just landed next to that leaf.
So
Gosh.
tired of writing like that in Rings of Power. It's like, oh, whoa, what are the odds? It's like, oh, come on. It's not like the number one thing you would try.
You know how yeah. You know how Muriel got blinded and
No, not really. Well, what did she get blinded by? Was it fire or something?
I think it's just sparks and stuff. I don't
Ugh,
fucking understand
whatever.
it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like when like a tree branch goes right by her face and she doesn't like duck aside or anything. I really wanted it to just like whack off her head. I don't know why.
It felt so awkward for me because when it's like the realization sets in, it's like, yep, she's been blinded. I was like, wow, I don't care at all.
I
Like,
know.
not even a little bit. I almost feel bad for the fact that I don't care at all. Like,
But like she doesn't care. This is the problem. It's like any normal person would be like, "Oh my god, like I'm never gonna see for the rest of my life. Like I'm never gonna live independently or anything. That's awful. I'm gonna cry and be really upset." But she's just like, "Nah, well, easy come, easy go."
she's a stoicist, okay? She's
Yeah,
doing
she's so stoic
stoicisms.
because she's a strong female character. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if she doesn't care, I don't care. So whatever. um, Deeds says, "Hey gents, pulling in new people is great, but your streams together are always my favorite." Thank you.
Yay.
Benjamin Jensen says, "Why does it feel like there's a lot of support for Rings of Power?" I don't know where. Every forum I check now, you see a lot of excuses for the show. Probably bots or Amazon employees.
People can enjoy whatever the hell they want. I don't know what it is that grabs people about this show. I really don't.
Axe the Viking says the scene where Sauron asks Galadriel who she thinks she is, and she answers, "War, I am war." So stunning and brave. If you get the reference, then cheers. Boston Joe gave me $20, and RRTNZ says, "Hail Drinker, has Muller given you grief yet about Wales beating Scotland in yesterday's Women's Rugby World Cup? If not, then allow me. Kamur Ambrith." Well, I mean, it's women's rugby, so it doesn't count, does it? They're not real.
Wow,
They're not real.
sexisms. Can you believe it?
It's funny because if one of them got near me, she would fucking floor me, guaranteed. It's like 20 stone of pure beef. But well, it's rugby. There we go.
Rugby.
Tomorrow Lad says, "Hey Drinker, we just had the Highland Games today in California. What are you doing having Highland Games there? Highland Games are for Scottish and Canadian people only." Seriously though, hope you enjoyed yourself, man. Eddie Brock says, "Did you guys watch Marvel's Werewolf by Night special? To my surprise, it was excellent. It's a homage to the classic horror movie genre." There you go.
So
Bit of...
it's a. Why in the world is this thing? Is it like a movie or is it? What's happening? I'm confused.
It's great when people ask us about stuff that we clearly have absolutely no knowledge of. It's like, what
These
is
are all
it?
baffled because I was just like, what is happening with this show? Everyone keeps talking about it. I must see it.
Well, let's see if chat can help us out here. Can someone in chat give us a brief description of what this show is?
And before
We're
they
just gonna...
fucking
In
all
fact,
give
we're not going to do
different
any more
accounts.
super chats until we know.
Yeah. 50-minute special. Really?
Okay.
I'm surprised it's gotten this much of a positive response if it's just a 50-minute special, but that's cool.
Dog Soldiers? Yes. Someone asked me about that. I've reviewed it. And I
Yeah.
interviewed the director as well. He was fucking awesome. It's nothing like the original Werewolf by Night comic. I think that's probably the best one. It may be.
I have no idea.
Is it about potatoes? Maybe.
Could be.
It's black and white.
Okay.
That's the best one here. Hold on.
Well, that's
It's
information of some kind.
it's a show. 10 out of 10 on IGN.
Ah, he is 10 out of 10 on IGN.
Okay. Short movie on MCU. It has full MCU intro credits. Okay.
All
How
right.
is it? It's had no advertising or anything. I've
I was
never
gonna
heard of
say,
it.
I feel left out of the loop on this one somehow.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh, right. Here's a good one. I just met Adele and Bilal at the Rebel premiere here in Belgium. That movie was awesome. You really need to check it out. Well, it's funny that because they gave me a free preview of it, and I've seen it, and it's really good. It's all in Belgian, so subtitles for any English speakers. But yeah, it's about a guy who gets radicalized to join the fighting over in Syria, I think. And yeah, pretty good story, good drama, and it shows what those guys can actually do when they've got creative control over it and they're not having to work within the Marvel mold. So yeah, I very much enjoyed it. Next one is RRTNZ. I want to see a Disney show about Galactus visiting a new planet each week to explore, learn to understand and appreciate the indigenous culture before he destroys it. Worst nature documentary ever. I would happily see that. LC Lapin says, greetings, Drinker and Longman. Thoughts about Loki writer hired for Secret Wars? I've never seen so many past franchises in danger of assassination.
I mean, that's what my newest video is about. There's a whole section where I'm like, how did this happen? How did a script this bad get made? And then it's like, well, because it wasn't really even made. It was made on the fly by a guy who's a hired gun for sure. He's not making his own stuff. He exists to fill a role and to hopefully tie enough stuff together to make a coherent movie, which he did not do, but it made money. And so the figureheads, the bean counters are like, well, it's good if we use him because we still make money. And I'm just curious how long before this House of Cards collapses completely. And to put him behind 2 Avengers movies, wow. Good luck.
Yeah, that's a pretty big endorsement. Probably undeserved. Frozen in the 80s says, Hail Drinker, during October, could you talk about Sam Raimi Drag Me to Hell, a much underrated horror comedy? I did quite enjoy Drag Me to Hell, actually. It was alright. John Orchard says, this is the point in the pub or bar where I've drank enough, I just want to buy drinks and give money away. Oh, well, that's a nice situation to be in. Steppenwolf says, discussing the best car wash. I mean, I've taken my car into car washes before. I got that hot foam. It was great.
Hell yeah.
I felt like a fucking king for like 30 seconds. We don't get car washes like they do in the States. Do they not do them there where there's like attractive women in bikinis that wash your car for you? And it's like, yeah,
that'd
I'm
be
not really
nice.
there to get my car washed as such. Yeah, we don't get that in Scotland because there's no attractive women here. It's a scientific fact. What can I say? RRTNZ says, okay, after 2 nonsense chats, a serious question for you both. Drinker, you refer to Father Ted a lot. Best Irish comedy ever. Worthy of a Drinker recommends, maybe? Yeah, fuck yeah. And belated... I can't say this. Happy smaller.
Pembloyd happy.
That's
Happy
not a
birthday
word.
in Welsh.
That's not a word.
You
know what? I'm just gonna fucking like hammer my keys on my keyboard, and that makes a Welsh word. Apparently,
Wow.
that
Racism is alive and well.
Doesn't adhere to any grammatical rules. It's just
Why should
it's
it?
madness. The writer in me just rebels against it. It's like, no, this language can't be real. Waylander says, happy belated birthday, long man.
Thank you.
Liam John Smith says, what about We Bear Bears? Haha. Yeah, indeed, what about it?
Don't know.
Give me a second while I just refresh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Night King says, is there any classics like before 2010 that you hate but everyone else... you hate but everyone else hates? I mean, yeah.
Classics that everyone hates.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Red Muskrat says, have you reviewed the Spawn animated series, oldie but a goodie? No, I haven't reviewed that, I'm afraid. James Norman says, "Oh, have you seen the Velma trailer? Another franchise lost to the message. Instead
I
of
haven't seen
butchering
it.
the OG team, they could have made a new one." Yeah, Velma's
Oh,
black now
isn't Shaggy
and
black as
gay.
well?
Yeah, Shaggy's black. They
So,
decided to
so
make
I've
the
heard about
stoner
this. They've
black.
made a
That's
huge mistake doing that because there's you got to be careful about where you put diversity because
mm-hmm.
everyone's pissed off at them now because they made the stoner character black. And they were
Yep.
like, "That's fucked up. That you could have made it Fred. You could have made it blah blah, blah but you made it him." And it's like, "Whoops, backfired. You shouldn't have made Shaggy black."
See, isn't it
Um,
isn't it nice, right, with the original animated show from like I don't know the 70s or something? They made it. Nobody gave a fuck about any of that stuff. Nobody tried to project all this stuff onto the characters. They didn't like marvel at whether like this character was gay or that one was. It was just a stupid cartoon show about people that solved mysteries.
solving mysteries.
I mean, why does everything have to come down to this stuff? I really hate it. I
Yeah.
hate what it does. I hate what it does to entertainment, and I hate what it does to people.
I saw Jay mentioning that the trailer itself is just like self-aware about how much everyone's going to be annoyed by it. Like, and that's the trailer. I was like, oh,
That's kind
great.
of like She-Hulk, though, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a trend I hate. Instead of them telling their story and then we talk about it, it's them. They're trying to get ahead of the conversation we may have. It's like, yeah, go
But they do
away.
it in such a negative way where it's like, I know people are going to dislike this because it's legitimately shit. And so by calling it out preemptively, it's like I'm forestalling that criticism. But it's like you're not. You've still made a shit thing, and of course people are going to criticize it because it's shit.
Yep.
Like I don't know how else to phrase that. It's like that's not a magical shield that prevents you getting criticized for making a bad product. Um, Almanac says, "Did you watch Stargate or the TV show spin-offs? If so, are you worried or opposed to reboot plans?" No, they're not going to do a reboot of SG-1, are they? I loved SG-1. I thought it was fantastic. It just kind of ran its course ultimately, but it was great while it lasted. Atlantis was really good. Universe didn't really care for it, to be honest. So yeah. Does this dress make like Az look big? Says, check out the Cheeto statue in Alberta. A statue with two fingers and a thumb holding up a Cheeto. That's beautiful. It was unveiled right before the Cheetos dusting in Rings of Power. Possible volcano suppository? I think so. Tone Child says, how's the YouTube algorithm treating you these days? Fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I have videos that fucking hell, like quite regularly they end up on the trending list, which baffles me, but like somehow they do. And yeah, it was weird the other day because the monetization vanished for like like a day or so, and everyone was freaking out thinking they'd been demonetized, and it was just some weird glitch going on with what the fuck? What are you doing? I mean, this is just ridiculous behavior. Now everyone's just going to be talking about the doggo has died. This is what happens when you talk about She-Hulk too much. Like, my dogs just literally die. I have to keep buying new ones all the time. Nightmare. Um, yeah, but yeah, the monetization came back, which was nice. So we're still employed. Random Aussie 89 says, "Gents, have you seen the horror comedy The Cabin in the Woods? It's a meta horror insanity, and you get to see a merman." Yes, you do. I really like Cabin in the Woods. I don't know if you've seen it or
Yeah, I've
whatever,
seen
but
it. It's because Whedon's involved in that, and
he
I don't know
is.
if you,
Yeah.
we were talking about it on Real BBC, I think, but just yeah, it's just like a classic parody of genre, basically.
No, it's fun. I love. I remember watching it with my mates at the cinema, and you know the bit where they've got all the different monsters contained in all these different cells, sort of
Yeah.
thing, and the main characters like they need to escape because they're like under attack by like the security guys, and there's just a big button there that's like purge, you know, all cells or whatever,
Hmm.
and my mate just looked at me and is like, "This bit's gonna be fucking awesome." And of course she hits it, and it's just like absolute carnage envelops the
Yeah.
entire base. It's like, yeah, it's awesome. So yeah, it's a good fun movie. Sam Steiner Martin says, "I just watched She-Hulk. Wow, it's bad indeed. I'm continually
Real.
blown away by it." OK Composite says, "Hey Drinker, is that Farscape review still on your to-do list?" It is, absolutely. Zana Mandu says, I'd like to ask if you've seen the 1985 Belarusian anti-war film Come and See. I think it might be the most masterfully made film of the 80s. I've heard really good things about that one. It's meant to be properly harrowing, so yeah, I'd be up for watching that. Jezamundo says, Gents, do you remember the old glory days of the IMDb forums before Amazon banished them to the abyss never to return? Amazing theory, insight, and discussion on essentially every movie ever made. Have they been, like, shit canned then, the forums?
I don't know. I was never really a part of those back in the day, so I can't say.
The Critical Doggo's just finished watching She-Hulk. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what it's done. Tone Child says, have you watched The Woman King yet? I heard that they rewrote history and made it so that they were fighting for freedom from colonization, but in reality they were selling slaves to Europe. Yeah, so from what I understand, it's kind of like the Braveheart effect, where it's a good Hollywood movie, it's a good story, it's just not historically accurate. So it depends what you're looking for from it.
That's what I've heard as well, yeah.
Night King 01 says, would you ever do a martial arts saga for EFAPs? Some Jackie Chan classics. Also, have you seen Hocus Pocus?
Yes and yes. I wouldn't mind doing that. And of course I've seen Hocus Pocus. I don't really know if I want to see the new one, though.
James Moore says, Werewolf by Night is in black and white, but the issue is that the studio was only allowed to do that at the last minute, so it's not perfect format. Okay. David Sakamoto says, will you check out the new Hellraiser? Yeah, I probably will, actually. The Field says, I'm so gosh damn tired of Hollywood's calling stone-faced, cold-hearted, moronic, blundering stoic. Stoicism is about taking control over your own responses to the world, rather than trying to control the world, not unfeeling. That's a pretty good insight, actually. Excuse me. Johnny J says, Drinker, love the vids. Mauler, love your yearly 50-hour vids. But Mauler, you got to play some Monster Hunter Rise. It's a Longman game for sure. Love you, fellows. Keep up the great work.
Can't play any more Longman games. I haven't got time.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll play all 5 God of Wars over the course of 2 months. I was like, I probably shouldn't have committed to that, actually.
Yeah. I was going to say, can you just entertain the chat for a minute or so? I just need to go for a piss.
No problem.
All right, cheers, man.
Mauler on the cut meat. Is that the equivalent of Kratos with his swords chopping people up? Because it would make sense. What else we got here in chat? Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Entertain us? I suppose I could. Why does everyone hate the Thing prequel? I mean, because it's nowhere near as good as the Thing, right? It's going to get compared. I remember not hating it. I wanted it to be better though, and then that story about how they did actually have some level of or a significant level of prosthetic stuff, and that got like wasted was very sad. But there are other issues, I believe. Have you heard of Joker's upcoming sequel? Yes, and I'm gonna give it a chance before I write it off, okay? TFA Part 5 when? Who knows? Critical Mauler. Yes. Can't believe Mauler's a taffy. Oh my god. Can't say that. Joel Edgerton is hot. I feel like he's been Joel Edgerton has looked like that for 10 million years. Very curious how old he actually is. Something I'll never find out because Google just simply doesn't have the answer. I'm sure of it. Thought about doing audiobooks. Your voice is so cool. Maybe. Perhaps one day. Who knows? It's another thing I don't have time to do. Ugh, I need to clone myself.
We need 10 long men.
Yes.
All right, thank you for keeping people going there. Right, where did I get to? Oh, yeah. Wilted Sheep says, Hi, Drinker, do you watch Hollow Live? Just kidding. I want to know how to make an ambitious novel. Is it better to self-publish or traditional publish? I mean, it's definitely better to traditionally publish if you at all can. It's a lot harder because, you know, there's only a limited number of spaces for new authors. But, you know, if you can do it, they will definitely be able to get you much more publicity. They'll be able to push you better. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Polish Berserker says, what are your thoughts about The Soldier from 1998? Well, I mean, I've done a whole like happy hour stream on it, so yeah, go watch that. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It was pretty cheesy action fun from the late '90s. Kurt Russell, I thought was really good in it. But yeah, some of the special effects were a bit lacking. Noctober says, "Did you watch Werewolf by Night? I want to see a review from you. P.S. It's honestly pretty solid. Fair play." James Moore says Velma is a self-insert for Mindy, that's Mindy Kaling, who's Indian, and making Daphne Asian is possibly because one, she's the hot one, and two, in some things, Daphne knows karate. What the fuck? I mean,
Oh
maybe.
dear.
So diverse. Ian Hines says thoughts on the Mario trailer. I don't know. I don't really want to watch it. B Buster says Orange Girl bad. Diano says, have you seen Gangs of London? Created and produced by The Raid's Gareth Evans. Second series starts soon. I've heard really good things about it. Waylon Bicephus says, what does the Pacific do better than Band of Brothers? Nothing, really. I think Band of Brothers is the better show. Also, Space Western or Space Samurai? How does fantasy based on 100 Years War sound? All of those things sound pretty good. Kuru says, does She-Hulk not seem a bit repurposed? Like there was a show about an aspiring writer, Jessica Gao, which now has little superhero injected into it. It honestly feels like they wanted a kind of breezy Ally McBeal comedy, and this was the only way to make it happen. You know, it's like you've got to do some superhero stuff in there too. I don't want to. You know, and it's like really reluctantly. Hold on a second. Okay. Sorry, I was just checking there. Bear with me a moment while it refreshes. Oh yeah.
It's all good.
Warrior Poet says, hey Drinker, finally able to catch you live from Hilo HI. Where's that? Mum is a Yorkshire lass. Nice. Have you seen the Red Sun? Toshiro Mifune, Charles Bronson, Ursula Andress, and Alain Delon. Samurai in the Old West. Good stuff. I feel like I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen it. Yeah, it's a hell of a cast, though. Christopher Pratchett says, have you seen Person of Interest? Sarah Sahahi, who we know you fancy, is a major character. Who is that? Sarah Sahahi. I'm going to have to look this up. Shahi. Because apparently I fancy her, so I must know the truth of this.
I'm not ringing any bells.
No, she's not familiar. What have I seen her in? I mean, she's not ugly, that's for sure. Yeah, never mind.
She's in Black Adam.
Fair enough. I don't know what your thoughts are on Black Adam, but man, I've got no interest in watching that.
I think I might be curious enough to see it just to be able to be in on the whatever's going to happen next with that movie, because they're riding a lot on that, right?
They really are acting like this is going to be the reboot of DC on film. Like this is where it starts, and I don't know. I think it was Fringy who said like they seem to think this is going to be a much bigger deal than it actually is, and I'm inclined to agree. And Toddzilla says, Muller, out of your sequel trilogy reviews, which ones are still unfinished? Is it just Force Awakens? I can't wait for it to be completed.
Yes, obviously it's still going. But technically speaking, I wouldn't mind doing a big old breakdown for Rise of Skywalker someday. And to be fair, all the movies, I think it'll be fun. All the Star Wars movies. But that's the thing, got so many projects to do. Obviously, back when I started Force Awakens, I wasn't intending to do Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but that's where passion ends up taking me.
Yeah. No, it's good to be able to follow the things you're actually interested in. Having the Rock accuracy is like having Stallone speaking real words. Yeah, it just doesn't seem natural.
I don't think that's going to work, but we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, just before we finish up here, because I think we're pretty much done with the super chats, I just wanted to give my mods a little chance to get a bit of recognition, because I know they do hell of a good job when I do these streams. They keep it ticking over, and they prevent chat getting totally out of control. So one of them here is the Outcast Creative, who I'll just bring on for a minute to say hello to everybody.
I'm one of the Outcast Creative. I'm Lance. Good to see you again, Will. Nice to see you, Mauler.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm told this is the Rings of Power fan club, is it?
Yeah.
We love it. We can't get enough.
Galadriel.
I got back from a really awful holiday to then watch that, and it just was like, Jesus Christ! Now I need counselling for something else. Yeah, I'm very unhappy with it, and the latest episode didn't do anything to dispel that. I've got one of the cast from House of Dragon coming on our channel in the not too distant future. So
Nice.
yeah, so
Is it? Do we know who? Or is it?
it's an actor called Will Johnson, who plays. He's the sort of second in command with the really long dreads.
Cool.
And actually, if you go on my channel and you look up the Diamonds in the Sky, there's 2 little short films I made which go along with my books. Quick plug, there they are. And Will Johnson is in the trailer for one of those. And so that's a sci-fi book series about 200 alien ships that arrive on the Earth, and I'm really hoping they do arrive soon with the way things are going. So, yeah, and then the world begins to change. And I've done a couple of cross streams with Lady G, who's come on now, and we've chatted about films and stuff like that. But the Outcast Creative is actually a group of actors that got together online to read scripts during lockdown. And there's 3 of us that run the channel, but I'm the one that does all the legwork. And we've also got a production on stage called False Accounts, and we're on stage in a week. So I won't be able to mod any of your streams for a couple of weeks because I'm actually acting in a play on stage about the biggest miscarriage of justice in British history, the Post Office Horizon scandal, which sent people to prison who were completely innocent and done nothing wrong, including a woman who was pregnant. So it's a pretty big story. If you Google it, Horizon Post Office scandal, we're doing the play about it because that's the kind of stuff we take on.
Well, I think I can let you have a couple of weeks off. You know, it seems like this is a bit more important.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Is
It'll
that
be
right?
all right. Yeah.
I think I've accrued a few. I accrued a few days.
I think you've earned it. Yeah, and we've got Lady Gravemaster on. So hello.
Well, hello, gentlemen. How are all of you?
Great to see you again.
Good.
I think this is the first time we've actually spoken, like on a stream or anything like that. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting us come on. I know that according to everybody else, we're just what did Amazon call us? Or not Amazon, but
Patently evil? Or?
patently evil, and we hide in our dungeon basements. So thank you for letting patently evil people come on your stream.
That's what we're all about here, you know. We've got an eldritch god and a cynical drunk, so that's we're all about evilness.
How they can get away with this rubbish is just really annoys me, man. It's just somebody I think you might have heard of did a really good video on just basic script writing etiquette and how to tell a good story with narrative, and they're just breaking every single rule. Like none of these things matter, and it's no wonder that people are so reviled by it.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they are getting away with it. That's why the show's kind of getting trashed.
Well, it's got a second season. I don't know.
It was always going to get that, really, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, even Batwoman got 3 seasons.
Yeah,
not Batwoman.
Actually, that's a good point.
That is something you could apply
why.
to. You could apply that to any shitty situation in life and be like, well, even Batwoman got 3 seasons.
Yep.
Thanks to you guys, I've not watched any She-Hulk, by the way. Thank you for that, guys.
Yeah, we watch it so other people don't have to. But
I'm downright sad that I won't be able to review more of it with Nick Ricciuta. It's funny as hell. It's just that's what brought him finally onto EFAP was a lore show, a quote unquote lore show. Let's be careful about that.
He's back. He's back now, though, isn't he? His channel's back.
yeah, he got his channel restored.
No, I'm really pleased to see that because it's really fantastic watching some of his stuff. I really like it.
Yeah, no, it's a relief to know that he's back up and running now because he produces great content and for a lot of people that's their job, that's their income. So yeah, I want to see him do more stuff, obviously.
So Will, you've got to come on and do the Wild Geese stream with me for sure, man.
That's an oldie.
It is an oldie, but we got to talk about it. It's written by the same scriptwriter who wrote 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
And if you look at the characters, when you watch that film, every time a character dies, you care about them, and that's good script writing right there.
Richard Harris dies at the end. Oh.
Don't give it away! Don't give it a spoiler alert. Not everybody watching will have seen it.
It's a spoiler for like a 50-year-old movie. I think they'll be all right.
Oh, well, the younger generation.
I was going to say, Jay would have seen it.
Jay's only seen like 5 movies in her life, though.
Exactly the reason why we shouldn't spoil those youngsters in chat that I'm definitely not a part of.
I mean, Mauler hasn't seen Wrath of Khan, so he might not have seen Wild Geese, you know.
Hey, don't tell people about that.
We said we would watch that together at some point, so we will.
Well, I invited you both to the cinema. You know it's going to be on the cinema again. They screen it there 2 or 3 times a year, so we've got to try and time it so you guys can come down to London. If you can only see a film for the first time once, so you might as well see it on the big screen, mate. Seriously.
I would genuinely like to see that, in a theater.
That space battle is phenomenal. It's really good. And we had 4 kids that we took to see it, and unfortunately 2 of them didn't get let in. You know why? Because it was the director's cut, and the director's cut's of 15. And so they wouldn't let the 2 youngest kids in. It was so irritating because we sort of hyped it up for them and everything, and they were really pumped. And but the other 2 loved it. So
one of the few Star Trek movies that's got actually a bit of gore in it, so it's quite cool.
It's all the stuff with I forget what they're called, the little things going in the people's ears.
Yeah, the eels, the sentient eels.
There's
more. That's some horrible stuff. Right?
You're in luck, Drinker. I've heard that Star Trek Discovery and Picard have gore in them. Go check them out.
They do, yeah. Just not quite.
I didn't make it through season 1 of Picard, and I'm a Trekkie. I mean, Will, you've got Reliant somewhere, haven't you? One of those cubby holes.
Yeah, see it. You can just about see it
sticking out
on the shelf there in the background. Yeah.
And I've in the room next door. I've got about 200 of those Star Trek ships. So I am a big Trekkie, but I can't. The new stuff, I can't get into it. I've seen Strange New Worlds. First couple of episodes of that, pretty good. But that's all I've seen of the new stuff that I've been able to get into. I just can't really get to grips with it.
Yeah, I think they are saying they're trying to hype up season 3 of Picard as like, it's a return to form. It's much like. Yeah, but it's just kind of desperation at this point. And it's like, well, you've alienated so many people with 2 seasons of garbage. Like, it's really going to be hard to draw them back in for the final season.
Yeah.
They bring back the entire cast, I think, for season 3, right? The entire original cast, except for maybe, including Will Wheaton, or I'm not sure.
Who cares about Will Wheaton? He's not really.
He gets a hard deal. He gets a hard deal, man. And when he came back,
you know what? He brings it on himself because he acts like an absolute bell end online. So, I've got no sympathy for him.
I don't follow him online, but I thought in some of the later episodes he actually had a nice little arc. The way he kind of rebelled against the idea of going in, joining Starfleet, and he kind of did his own thing. And
I get the impression like Wesley was created to try and appeal to the youths of the 1980s, and everyone hated him. Yeah, he was just this annoying, bratty kid, and then like, what can we do with him? He just goes off on his own, and he has his own adventures, and that was it. They wrote him out of the show. But man, the dude has been coasting on that shit for the past 30 years. It's like,
I'm going to see if I can get this bot before Rennie. Yeah, there you go.
All right, there we go.
Rennie is your fastest mod on the bots. She is like so quick.
I love it. It's like still on. You're like on the chat, but you're still moderating as well.
Well, actually, Lady G beat me. I thought I got it.
I did.
You beat me. Oh, fuck's sake!
I'm quicker than all of y'all.
Yeah,
just mod in the West.
Well, it's a fun competition that we have. We try to see which of us can hit the bots the fastest and who can get the most. So
I think it's probably maybe a bit worse tonight because I didn't remember to put slow mode on. So maybe that's why.
It wasn't too bad, but we had quite a lot of them just come in, and over one period of half an hour they were really relentless. So I think the Lord of the Rings alarm went off at Amazon, and suddenly they were on us. Do you know, I met one of your mods in the States recently. So me and Rennie, we met up with a friend of mine who was a board games designer. She got to meet him as well. That was in Dallas.
Nice.
So So I would have met with Lady G as well, but she was a little bit too far away.
Just a tish.
Just a
few thousand miles out of the way.
Yeah, it was a little bit. I looked at the cost of the flights, but I thought, no, can't quite justify that. Even though she did offer to tour me around the army base, which would have been fun, but
that would be fun actually. Yeah. It's like
what I could get you into anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, you go play with the tanks.
the gate and look through the wire fence, and that'd be
Gate,
it.
the Chow Hall.
Can we shoot some
parade
guns
deck.
when we're there? Come on. It's the best part.
But no, I have a question for Mahler and Drinker. What do you
Sure.
guys think of that Business Insider article that admitted that the Amazon analyst fell asleep watching Rings of Power?
I can 100% believe that.
It would be more shocking if they said someone stayed awake while watching it. I'd be like, no way.
I talked about it last night on my stream, but apparently from the analyst and like him and 3 others, so all 4 of them fell asleep and they haven't watched past episode 3 yet.
Right.
Or something
It's like
that.
some like physical challenge for them. It's like, no,
Like,
we
that's
just
what they
can't
said.
get past it.
They can't. And it's like he goes, we'd hoped that it would improve, but it's not, and the audience reaction isn't improving. And there's something about like over 95% of Prime members are not going to be happy about having to pay an additional $20 a year for their Prime accounts because Amazon is spending money on content like this, and it's not bringing in new Prime subs like it was intended to.
No, yeah, that's right.
So I find it really interesting because he said flat out that House of the Dragon is outperforming Rings of Power by leaps and bounds. And I know that you guys have talked about this, and you said earlier that just because House of the Dragon exists, or because Rings of Power exists, doesn't necessarily mean that you're being nicer to House of the Dragon. But what would be like, is it the acting that's better? Is it the writing that's better? Is it the sets? Because I'm not a Game of Thrones fan and I've watched none of House of the Dragon, but everything I hear about it is like genuine hype. Is there a reason for that, or is it literally just rose-tinted nostalgia glasses?
No, I mean, I think if we were to compare the two,
Better
yeah.
cast, better writing.
it's
For me.
House of the Dragon is undeniably a better production. And it's for all the reasons that you cited. Like, it's definitely better written. Like, characters actually have nuance to them. They act like adults. There's layers to their personalities, and that's explored. You get to see different facets of who they are and how they respond in different situations. The dialogue is actually interesting to listen to, and it's performed by competent actors that know what they're doing, and again, act like adults.
It would have been so easy for Matt Smith to play that character as just like a straight up villain, and
exactly.
He brings so many different levels to him, with pretty minimal dialogue as well. I would say in a lot of his scenes, and that's a skill of his ability as an actor to do that.
Yeah, and I think all of that combines together into like a viewing experience that's just. It's much more rewarding to watch, where you've got like the one-note cartoon characters of Rings of Power who don't really develop and don't have facets or layers to their personalities because they're so simplistically written. And so you're watching that show, and it's like there's no payoff to anything because you're not invested in anything that's happening. Or
I was just
too.
waiting for someone to say, I think we're all about to go on a great adventure at the end of the last episode. You know, when the 4 of them got, oh man, I was just waiting for them to say that line. Fortunately, they didn't, but it was.
I like how it's all women except for the one male hobbit who is the
Lenny
diverse
Henry.
casting of Lenny Henry.
Lenny Henry. And he's the best actor they've got in the show. He's a good actor. I've seen him on stage.
I think you're being generous there, mate.
Well, I mean, you know, and I've seen him on stage in Fences, an award-winning play. He was absolutely phenomenal. My mate played his wife in it, and we got to meet him afterwards. He's a really lovely guy, and I was actually quite chuffed when I saw that he was cast in that role, and they've given him nothing to work with that character.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I've never seen him in more serious things where there's like a nuance to his performance or whatever. Like, I remember him as being like a stand-up comedian and then doing like sitcoms and stuff like that in the UK when I was a kid. And in this, it's just very much like pantomime sort of performance level. And I don't know if some of that's just down to bad writing, but like, yeah, I didn't get much out of him. But yeah, like, I think in terms of good actors in this, the guy who plays Elendil, I really like him as an actor. I think he's got a lot of charisma to him. yeah, screen presence. Again, they've not given him a huge amount to work with, but what he gets is okay.
Especially with the last episode as well, I was like, I'm so annoyed that the Durin plotline is so filled with nonsense because I actually like
Oh
the
my
stuff with him and his
gosh.
dad.
Yeah,
Like,
I like him. He's
I want to like
Durin's
him
good.
more. Just like all that stuff with the the secrets and the how long they've been friends or whatever, and then just all this other stuff is just like it's getting in the way of me being like, you know what, I want to like this. I really like dwarves. I like the whole digging because of greed or whatever. I think it's a nice twist as well that the reason they're digging so deeply right now is to save the elves or whatever. I was like, oh, that's a pretty neat way to do it. But so many like plot issues that sort of
Yeah.
tangle up all of that.
Their subplot, it feels like it's been spinning its wheels for like
Kind
most of
of.
the
I
season.
don't know what they're doing with it. It feels like it feels like the only news like we're going to disturb the Balrog. That's going to be the big payoff season 1. So as long as we get there, it doesn't matter how.
Well,
Like,
okay, here's my question, and I already put I have I'll put it this way: it wouldn't shock me if they take Adar and turn and he ends up being Celeborn, like if they end up making him Celeborn. I put that up on Twitter. But my other question is: so the Balrog, right, has been at the bottom of this cavern that's covered in mithril, right? And the mithril can pull out this evil, right? It purifies things. So if the Balrog is at the bottom of a cavern full of mithril, wouldn't the Balrog have been purified over time?
I don't
This
know
might-
because isn't Mithril both good and bad or something according to
That's
them?
probably why he's trapped and he can't get out. So
I-
when
I-
they excavate all the mithril, that's why he escapes, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, my understanding from the book lore was just mithril is just a mineral. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
have any like magical healing properties. It's very light, it's very strong, and you can use it to make incredible suits of armor and stuff.
Yes.
As hard as dragon scales.
Yeah, like it's not like some crazy magic cure for elven diseases and things. Like,
But
where
it
does
is
this stuff come from?
It is in their it is in their world. And here's the other thing. So the way that they told the story, where it was this great battle and it was the Cimmeral and the light, like all of this stuff, you can't have this both ways. You can't have a legend and you can't have history. The reason being is like because Elrond was there. Like elves, the idea that the reason that myths exist is because it was history that got passed down orally, and over time it changed and it became a myth. But Elrond was there when his father did all of these things. Elrond was there when like according to their timeline, he was there when all of this happened. So he would have a first-hand account. So it wouldn't be legend or myth. It would be something that he would know specifically, like directly, because he, as well as other elves, were alive when this happened. So
That's
they
the
would
problem
have...
with having immortal creatures, isn't it? It's like there's no
Yeah.
such thing as myths because like you've always got like an actual first-hand account of everything that happened.
Exactly. So they would always know where that Cimmeral was, which means they should always know what that Mithril was there and what Mithril was. And like I threw out there, I was like, watch, Finrod's dagger is going to have been made of Mithril this entire time, or something bonkers like that, and they just never knew. And so this whole thing doesn't work because the elves are long-lived and because they were alive, so they have the first-hand accounts of all of this happening, which means they would already know that that existed, which means that they knew about this lore and they knew about its origins. Or the only other option would be that they would have to have been completely in the dark of everything that has occurred, and that they weren't they weren't granted this particular type of knowledge because they weren't worthy, which doesn't make any sense because they were literally the ones who were fighting Morgoth and all of this evil.
I think honestly, like trying to make sense of this show is fighting a losing battle. Because I think we're like here just talking about it, we're giving this more thought than the writers of the show actually gave it.
Yeah, somebody in the
I-
chat said stop giving them more ideas.
Yeah, 'cause
Just
I-
now.
I honestly think they just genuinely never thought about it. Like their thought process just went as far as like we need an overarching problem that Mithril can solve, and that ties it into like the Lord of the Rings lore. And fuck it, just do that.
I mean,
That's all we need to care about.
Mordor and dude, when it said the Southlands and then it rubbed it out and went Mordor, that was embarrassing.
No, I
can't believe they did
literally
that.
was shaking with excitement that happened, Mordor.
Like me and Fringy were watching it together, and I was like, "Is he gonna say it? He's gonna say this is Mordor." And then I was like, "Oh, it would actually be neat if they ask him what's this land called, and he just looks, and that's it, and they leave it." But then they have the fucking words come up, and it's like the Southlands. It's Mordor. I was like, oh.
They should have had a scene where they discussed all these different amusing titles for it before they came to Mordor.
The bit where he shouted, "This is Sparta," like, that just had me.
Right. Well, and like the interesting thing about this is, so you have a land. So first of all, Galadriel took a pyroclastic cloud to the face and survived. The same fires that forged and destroyed the One Ring, Galadriel survived that. So she's tougher than the One Ring. Along with the Theo,
of course she is. She's a woman. So
Theo survived it.
Loads of
Tarmiriel
people
survived.
apparently
All
did,
those
yeah.
people survived it. So why not just make the ring out of them? Because obviously it's stronger than whatever Sauron put together.
I mean, I can rationalize that to the extent that like the ring is forged in the actual like the lava flows of Mount Doom rather than just the ash cloud that comes out of it. So sort of okay, but yeah, you couldn't take a pyroclastic flow to the face and not be turned into like one of those like stone people from Pompeii.
Yep.
You know,
They show us like all the buildings getting absolutely annihilated, but all the people are okay. It's like what?
Yeah.
How did what?
she hasn't even got a scar on her face.
No,
you know.
nothing.
she doesn't even try and hide from it. She just stands there. Just bring it on.
Activate shield.
And like what so even if you were able to survive the pyroclastic cloud, the toxins in the air that you would be breathing, you'd be dead within seconds anyway, because it's basically methane and carbon monoxide. But
Nuh-uh.
nuh-uh. Okay.
No, you.
But like, couldn't they just allegedly, because mithril cures all of this blight, couldn't they just like walk in and stick the mithril next to orcs and then heal all the orcs?
I don't know. I mean, can you turn them back into elves? Like
Right?
just by
I wouldn't care about any of that stuff if they just had some good characters and some good dialogue.
But they don't.
You know, but unfortunately, we're left with this to debate. It's like
That's really true, by the way. If they just had a handful of decent characters, like a Damon or an Otto, just anybody that can just be like, oh, they're interesting. I understand them and what they're doing. I can't believe we've had, 7 episodes? And it's like, what's the Hartford story in total? They migrated.
And
Yeah.
they went slightly off path or something. There's
met
too
the
many
big guy.
characters. Too many characters in the show.
Well, yeah. Like here's a good example. Like Farazon, like they are trying to set him up as like this clever master manipulator, like this politician who's scheming behind the scenes. He just comes across as dumb as fuck. You know, like again, like they're trying for that kind of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon style subterfuge and you know, political wranglings, and it just seems so simplistic in comparison.
He's Game of Thrones at home. He is. He's like, let's we're gonna make an alliance with them, and then we can have access to their ores, their materials, their loyalty during a war. You're like, So you've never been there. You have no idea who they are, who they're loyal to, what their lands are like, how many people there even are, who the orcs are, what they're attacking, and what numbers. You just want to send 3 ships and hope.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, yes, I'm a genius. You're like, okay.
Well, and then like that drawing of the Numenorian ships carrying all of the horses and the supplies and stuff on Twitter, that killed me. But
where
it's
like
true,
10% of the ship's above the water and the other 90%
is below it. I mean, it's true though, because when you look at what they allegedly brought, and then, oh my god, there's no sense of actual time in this series. Like, not only have they taken roughly 6,000 years and condensed it into 6 months, but like the Numenorians crossed like 600 miles in an hour on horseback.
Well, their horses were very fast, you know.
Very fast,
Well, yeah, this is
special horses.
And I'll tell you that the dumbest thing they did with this show is they had the meteor scene where not Gandalf crash lands to the earth, but all of the major factions witness this, and so that establishes that it's a common timeline that they all share. It's not like these are all happening like months apart. But then you get stupid stuff like the Hobbits doing their migration, which lasts for months, presumably, because they cover hundreds of miles.
Yeah.
But then you flash back to things in Numenor, and it's like 2 hours later.
Yep.
You know, and none of it makes any sense.
You can't
Well,
line. You have no
they're
idea
using
where
fast
anything's
travel.
line up. They're
It's
They're fast traveling to locations like in a computer game, basically.
saved on the map.
Yeah.
Fast travel.
You could honestly like you could end up driving yourself insane trying to rationalize all this, but it doesn't make sense.
I'm just curious, all these factions, the elves, the Numenorians, the hobbits, the cult of Sauron followers, like they all saw this comet and none of them went after it? Like not a one of them went after it.
Well,
Apparently
they couldn't
not.
fast travel to its location because they didn't know where it had landed yet. So, you know.
I'm just like, how is no one else, like nobody else is looking for this comet. No one else is trying to figure out what just like that comet hit and then the blight
Not
started on the
even-
tree.
Not even the Harford's kid. It was literally
No.
just Dory.
It was
their
like right
friend.
next door to them and they're like, we're just gonna let it be. We're just gonna let it lie. And it's when that comet passed over is when that first leaf on that tree fell and Gilgalad picked it up and it had the blight in it. And I'm just calling it the blight because that's essentially what they're mimicking. But it has this elven disease in it after that comet passes over. Why would you not send a team for recon at the very least to see what just came down?
Oh,
Yeah.
You know.
I don't understand. I don't get it. It very much angers me.
Drinker, do you remember the video that you did before the show had even aired where you were talking about possible plot lines? And I remember one of the things you said, a really good idea for a story would be, how is it that all these different races teamed up with Sauron, the Southlings and the Easterlings and all that? And, you know, maybe they just didn't all just suddenly decide to join him. Maybe it was a bit more nuanced than that. And there was, you know, maybe Sauron sent agents into their political circles, a bit like House of Dragons, to stir up stuff and make them hate the other races. I think a show about that would have been absolutely fantastic. And you could have done the storyline of that kid who gets shot off the elephant. You remember the scene where Faramir looks at him and he says, I wonder where he came from. I wonder what his home life was. Why is he fighting? You could have taken that scene and that could have been the starting point. You could have gone back in time and seen how that kid got to that place and why they went there. And I think that would have been a cracking idea for a Lord of the Rings show.
Yeah, but then that would have required patience and a bit of thought on their part and a bit of imagination. And they're not
skill.
about that. Yeah, and they're all just about like just get all the references in as quickly as possible. You know, get Mordor in, get Mount Doom in, give us the Numenorians and all that stuff, and like we don't have to think about the rest. And you know, it one of the things I pointed out about this was it's a good way to get a bunch of diverse actors into this because you can have the people from Harad or from the south.
Yeah. Exactly.
You can have all different ethnicities there and have it make sense that they're part of that culture and explore that. But instead, it's like, no, we're just going to randomly sprinkle them in throughout Middle Earth. Doesn't make any sense, but yeah, just do it because it's easy and it doesn't require as much work on our part.
And actually, in that show, if you'd said it there, the white races would have been in the minority in that story. They might have had, you know, political agents that they'd send or ambassadors to entreat treaties with these people and negotiations, but it would have been the story of those races. And I just think that would have been really, really interesting, you know?
Yeah.
But maybe somebody else will make it one day if they get the rights. But
well, I don't know.
if we can handle another Lord of the Rings series.
Well, no, I was saying the only thing that Amazon has screwed up because look, Lord of the Rings survived the 1970s animated films, which were by no means anything brilliant. And definitely not the best. Well, but they're definitely not the best adaptation out there by far. But it survived that, and we got the Jackson trilogy. It was good, and then the Hobbit trilogy was not fantastic, though. Now even the CGI river scene looks good compared to some of the stuff from Rings of Power. But I have no doubt that Lord of the Rings will be able to survive this. It survived other stuff previously. All Amazon has really done is destroyed their one opportunity to make a successful adaptation of Tolkien's work.
I think so. Like, nobody will give them a chance now beyond this. As long as they never are able to get the rights to the actual Lord of the Rings story so that they can remake those films, then we'll probably be all right because
I
you
don't
can
see
separate this out.
Yeah, I don't see Warner Brothers ever giving those up. I think that's
Like,
why
They
the
better
ri-
not ever remake those. That would be absolute sacrilege. I
I think
bloody hope not.
everyone would hate that.
Yeah, everybody would. Well, and I think that's why Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers still has like distribution rights and stuff like that, and they won't give those up. But if they do, that's why I think they're doing War of the Rohirrim, that animated film coming out, because
Yeah.
as long as they produce something that they have the rights to within a certain time frame, they can still maintain those rights. Like the contracts are all over the place, but Warner Brothers will always have the distribution rights of their trilogy, so they'll always have that sort of trump card over Amazon when it comes to Amazon's Rings of Power, because they know that everybody's comparing this against Jackson's trilogy as much as they're comparing it against House of the Dragon. So Warner Brothers will always have that over them. They actually put in my theater, we could have gone and saw I could have seen the first and second episode in theater of Rings of Power, but my theater was also playing the extended edition of Return of the King. I went and watched that.
that wins any day.
Instead, and that theater was packed when I went and watched the extended version of Return of the King. So I don't know how this is going to shake out, but I have a feeling from all the evidence suggests this is not going at all like Amazon anticipated.
Oh no.
No.
The actual degree of backlash against this has been legendary, and it's just getting stronger. Like if fucking Angry Joe can say it's garbage, then yeah, it's bad.
Yep.
Mauler, do you like Andor? What's your where are you at with that?
I've seen the first 3. There's 4 and 5 are out now, are they?
I've seen the first 4, and I'm kind of still waiting for things to happen.
So
yeah, that's. I haven't been tempted enough to continue it yet. I'm gonna make time for it. I've just been so busy with the other shows that I'm just like, I'm gonna let a few more episodes trickle out, I think, and then tackle them all at once or something. I'm not sure.
We had an actor on our channel called Charlie Parker Swift, and he was in 2 episodes. I think he's playing an Imperial officer, and we were all excited. I'm like, so tell us about Andor then. And he said, I can't tell you anything apart from the sets were very clean. That's it. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. I mean, he's done lots of other interesting things. So we talked about his career in acting and other things, but he's going to come back and tell us when they've all aired what it was like filming it. But I haven't seen him in it yet, so I assume he's still to come.
You know, when we watched the first 3 episodes, and we kind of all said, like, thank goodness that episode 3 happened, because we would have had a pretty dim view of the show as being really boring and slow if it was just the first 2 that we saw.
It's the one with the firefight in the warehouse is the third one.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Right.
And so I've been told that like it kind of operates in 3 episode arcs. So the first 2 are the setup, and then the third one will like resolve it in a big action sort of heavy episode, and then it'll move you on to the next sub arc, basically for the next 3 episodes. That's fine. So we're kind of scheduled for another big action sequence next week.
Right.
But the problem is, I think, with this show, those first 2 episodes that set it all up could probably be condensed down into 1. They're just a bit too slow, and there's not enough going on to sustain 2 entire episodes, because they're long episodes as well. They're like over an hour each, and I think they don't deserve quite that much screen time. It's good in the sense that there's a lot of world building, there's a lot of character development, but it's just maybe a little bit too slow and too methodical for my liking. And I hate to be saying that, because I don't want to be like, oh, I need to see explosions every 2 minutes, but there's got to be a balance there, I think. It's just slightly tipped too much in favor of the setup.
What's happening with the film of your book? Is that any further along?
Yeah, so there's 2 projects underway. Like there's one which is like the full on, feature film thing, which is like underway. Is the best I can say. Like they're trying to get film and locations sorted out.
That's for Redemption, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
they were aiming to do a lot of it in Eastern Europe because it's cheaper and you get tax breaks and all that good stuff.
That would work. That would work for the plot, to be honest. For some.
Yeah.
Of it, anyway.
The problem is, like, the past year or 2, they were obviously shut down because of COVID, and then there's a potential for a fucking war. So they're a bit cagey about shooting in places like that, particularly for insurance reasons. So it's a little bit up in the air right now. But the other thing is a short film, which is with a different sort of production team, which is like a new Ryan Drake story that we've come up with. Like I've done the script for it, and that is a lot more easy to do because we can get funding for it relatively easily, and we've got actors, we've got a script, we've got locations, and that's gonna hopefully happen early in the new year. So that's what I've got going on right now.
Yeah, I really did enjoy Dark Harvest, by the way. Thanks. I read that in 2 days.
Nice one. Thank you. I must be doing something right.
You did a proper nod to Aliens with that scene where the shutters came down and they kind of get trapped in the building, and there was a little bit of Aliens meets Doomsday. But I could really visualize you. I could tell you'd seen it in your head how that scene would be in a movie. And as I was reading it, I was going, "Oh, I think I'd do this shot like this." And yeah, it was very filmic. That was a great moment. I even had music, some James Horner music playing while I was reading that stuff, and it complemented it very well.
Yeah. Someone's asking me, no offense, but hope you're not directing too. No, I am not. We have directors and producers and stuff. Like I am just the script writer for this. So don't worry, I'm not going to fuck it up. If it does get fucked up, it's not because of me.
I'm not high enough. I'm not high enough level to direct a film with that sort of budget.
Yeah.
Sadly, I wish.
But yeah, I mean, guys, like obviously wanted to be able to bring you guys on for a little bit and say thanks for all the amazing work that you do. Because being a mod, it's a pretty challenging job, I imagine, and you don't really get the recognition that you deserve for it. But I really appreciate it, and I wanted people to see what you guys do.
There's a couple of us that do it for you on the Outcast. So I do about 70% of it. I'm not the only one though. So there's a couple of others that sometimes do it for you.
Yeah.
So I'll pass on that to them. Thanks for having us in. I thought we were only going to be in for 5 minutes. We actually had quite a nice chat about all sorts.
Yeah. No, it's been great. And I'm glad you guys were able to come in and do this.
No, anytime, man. Anytime.
Nice.
Thank you for having me on, or having us on. That's really great of you. Appreciate it. Especially, I think, because Mahler, thank you too, since you didn't really have a choice.
I'm more than happy to have a chat with you guys. That's what I live for.
And thanks to the chat as well. They've actually been quite pleasant. They've been quite pleasant to us, which has been really nice of them. So and actually most of them in there are a good laugh. We have quite a good laugh modding it. It's not that horrendous.
No,
so
that's good.
And the mods are a lovely group as well. And we've got our own chat stream, and they're a good bunch of people. So. And we should shout out Big D as well, because I think he wanted to come on, one of your mods, but he had a family emergency, so he couldn't. Yeah. So we should send him our best wishes, shouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And next time I'll bring him on so he gets a chance. And Mahler, we better let you go because I know you've got House of the Dragon on.
Yep.
So.
If there's anything else you need to do, I can still stay a bit longer if you want. Or...
No, I think we're all done. We've got all the super chats and everything done. So
I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch that tonight as well. Actually.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be fun. Hopefully, I'm really hoping they can nail the end of the season. Please.
Just stick the landing. Just stick the landing.
Yeah, I hope so. Last episode was good. Last episode was really good.
I thought so.
Brilliant building attention with dialogue, and that funeral scene was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really good example of less is more. Lord of the Rings, less is more.
Absolutely.
I don't know. We don't have a lot going on in Rings of Power. In their case, more might be more talent. I don't know.
Rings of Power will be over soon. But yeah, that is all that we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.